All right, welcome to the Mailman Podcast, and my name is Dick Colin. I'm your host this evening, and I'm going to have a guest coming in shortly. It looks like my jaw's not moving too well, but that'll be fixed in the next scene here. But yeah, just two normal old dudes, totally not gay, talking about totally not gay topics such as diet and other not gay topics like habits. But let's get to it, because this is the Mailman Podcast. That's what we do.
Mailman Podcast coming to you. Mailman coming to you. Talking about man stuff on the internet. If you don't like it, you can go to hell. Mailman Podcast coming to you. Mailman coming to you. Ooh.
Here, I think you can hear me now, and I think we got you on the air.
Check.
There we go. All right, well,
1, 2.
Thanks for joining me this evening, Mr. Bogey, and whoever's out there wants to join. I'm getting a couple things set up here, and there we go. The chat's working, and it works. There we go. We got some hearts in there. Whoop whoop. Yeah, today's going to be pretty interesting. I'm not sure. I am now, because we just talked about it. But you didn't get a chance to read the description for today's podcast.
Nope.
Yeah, just the title, right? So nothing gay, about two old dudes talking about diet and habits. And that picture actually took longer than you think to get something like that. But I'll just read the description for you.
Surprisingly, it looks a lot like us.
I know, right? It's uncanny.
It's uncanny.
Perfect. Especially the only having 3 legs total in between us. Not sure where that third leg is there. But yeah, so I'll read that as a description. And all the puppies, like it's funny that those are the puppies that it went with, because I was not sure what direction I was going to go. And it's funny because the other thing, like I didn't want it to look like this, like as gay as it is, but it just would not do anything but gayness. So I kept trying to put in like old man with holding a puppy, karate kicking a watermelon.
Slightly gay.
Yeah, slightly gay.
Went super gay.
Yeah. Only a little gay, and it kept showing stuff like this. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I just went with it. I was like, all right, well, two dudes holding puppies with trying to kick a watermelon. It still did not give me anything about kicking watermelon stuff. I don't know what the hell's going on there.
Kicking a watermelon.
Yeah.
Watermelon is not good for you.
Well, I was thinking about, we'll get to that, right? But I was thinking about like something that would explode without actually saying like explosion. But yeah, I don't get it. I don't know what the hell. It just would not give me anything about like I said, like smashing a watermelon, punching a watermelon, and he would just be holding it. And then eventually it started giving me only like 2 dudes. So like,
yeah.
And I was like, all right, fuck it, two old dudes holding puppies.
Yeah.
Kicking a watermelon, and that's the best one that came out. So that's what we're going with. So that's why the title's the way it is. And then I went on a rant in the description, which I'll read to you now. See what you think. All right. So just 2 totally not gay old dudes talking about totally not gay topics such as diet, and also the not gay topic of habits. This is the least gay thing on the internet. Just 2 old dudes getting close and relating to each other as deeply as they possibly can with manly strength for your manly pleasure. Just saying, nothing gay about when one man talks to another man about how they look and appreciating each other. Just to reiterate, old dudes can't be alone all the time. Sometimes they need another man to spend that alone time with in a manly way, like sword fighting and crossing streams in the bathroom for their health, which is so not gay. Man stuff, not gay at all. Man, big men, so big. My God, how can one man get so big? Huge cock. What?
It kind of sounds like that. Was it Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Oh yeah.
They're like looking for really in shape dudes to hang out with and party. Totally not gay.
Oh yeah, totally not gay.
At
Yeah,
our party
that's
house?
probably where that came from. Like I was probably channeling that.
You were probably
Yeah, I don't take credit for at least 80% of the things that I say. And what the fuck? I just I just realized that my like with the new Mac, my mouse is now, I don't know where it is because it's on my iPad, which is not helpful right now. Oh, there it is. Okay, that's interesting.
You just gotta wiggle it real fast,
Yeah.
and then it'll show up.
But yeah, so that's that's why I went in the direction that it did for this, is because that stupid AI program just could not figure out what I was trying to say.
If I were an AI and I heard that description, I'd put 2 totally gay dudes on there as well.
Yeah. Oh no, that was after. I wrote that afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still.
Why is
It knew.
I gotta mess
It
with my
knew what you
volume
were
here.
doing.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, why the hell is the
2
volume
totally
here?
straight.
Oh, there we go. That's why. It was going through Zoom. All right, now I can hear you. Fuck, man, it was so low.
Huh. All right.
Oh,
check.
that's much better. Yeah, that's much better.
Testing. 1, 2. Testes.
3.
Testes. 1, 2, 3.
What is that from? That's from something.
I know. I just forgot what it was.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so
That's a while ago.
yeah, it's got to be like because I remember hearing that as a kid.
Yeah.
So maybe it's one of those old man jokes that just kind of got the rounds.
Could be.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows?
Well, yeah, I guess
heard it.
On the note of old men, so we're here, not queer.
Yeah, we're here.
Totally
We're
not gay. But
Yep.
so kind of a
Definitely
continuation.
not crossing the streams.
Yes, manly men, sword fight. That's just the way it goes.
That would be. You got to draw a line somewhere.
Yeah, you gotta draw a line in the sand with your cock.
With your urine. Draw your names in the snow.
I'm gonna see how this adjusts my sound here. Close that door off. But yeah, so kind of a continuation of what we were talking about last time. You know, man stuff, being a man, and I guess you know, in our own experiences, how we do that, how we navigate. Yeah, I think one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was going to be the diet specifically, because I've been in. I'm just going to use as many gay terms as I can as we go on through this conversation. I've been in transition, you know, for a while. Yeah, you know, moving from one very healthy country to not healthy country. And
I'll tell you about it.
And you know, because even while I was there, I was going through my little steps of how certain types of food make me feel, and you know, you don't really know if you always eat that kind of stuff. So if I'm like before I went, it was like you know, basically just junk food all the time. So like I had no idea how bad that was for me as far as like how I feel.
Yeah.
Until I didn't have that stuff anymore. So like the types of ingredients they use for their potato chips and their, you know, Oreos, you can tell the difference in the taste. But clearly they're not using what we use here. And they're still not healthy, but you definitely feel, you know, like you can do stuff on their junk food over there. I'm talking about Japan specifically. So just if you haven't been following along, but yeah, so eating relatively healthy food. They definitely have some bad junk food and you know, fried foods, but it's still not as bad. But I think because of that, I started to notice the difference in how foods actually made me feel. And then now, like I said, I've been in transition back in the States here. That doesn't happen as often because it's almost like everything I consume is some sort of bad food. Outside of like, you know, the things that I cook for myself. But then again, you know, I'm also they're not a very like saucy country over there. So like coming back here, I was all about like, oh, I gotta have some sauce, and so that's kind of been a pain in the dick there. But yeah, so you know, having been in the States basically the whole time for you, how do you go through that food process of like, all right, what are things that are make me feel like shit, and then because that's actually it seems to be a little difficult now that I've transitioning back into the American life. Is like it's hard to tell, like, is it really the food that I ate today, or is it the food that I ate 3 days ago? You know what I mean? Yeah. So how do you navigate that? And kind of like, what do you call that? Like, test your might as they will.
Test your. Oh, you mean just kind of like an isolation diet?
Maybe not so much isolation, because I think that's gonna be a hard route for a lot of people, and I think that's why dieting typically doesn't work. Is
well, you got to figure out,
go ahead.
because if you have any scientific experiment, you have to isolate your variables, right? You have to do things consistently, and then that you can have a variable, but you can't have 15 variables.
Yeah.
Because then there's no way for you to really know. So, right, if you had breakfast and then that's digesting, and then you got lunch in 3 hours, and then that's digesting, and now you have dinner in 3 or 4 hours later, and that's still digesting, like you're it's like it's overlap probably. So I don't know if there's an answer to that other than start cutting stuff out that you kind of just know. But here's the problem with that, I think, is people don't really know what is healthy and what's not. And I'm not saying I know, but I think it's pretty good bet that single ingredient foods, or like something that might have like just salt or whatever, like if you think of cheese, isn't a single ingredient, but it's only 2 or 3 typically. The good cheese, if it's like homemade or not, from Kraft. But so you have single ingredient foods, and you kind of simplify your diet, and you eat when you're hungry. You don't just eat because it's lunchtime, like that can probably help. I mean, there's probably a lot of things that go into that too. If you're gaining weight, then you can probably afford to cut back. If you need to gain weight, well, then that's a problem very few people have. But I have a friend up here actually that
all those fatties out there.
Weight. Yeah, he's pretty thin. He's like trying to gain weight, and he just can't seem to do it. He eats a lot.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, bro.
I think he's lactose intolerant or something.
Okay, so he's gonna have some. There's plenty of stuff out there. You just gotta eat plain burgers instead of cheeseburgers, right? So.
Yeah, but he got something. I think he got sick, like some. I don't know if it was some stomach virus or something, like E. coli or something.
Oh, okay.
He had something crazy happen.
Sorry, I laughed about that.
he was really sick for like 2 weeks. He said ever since then, he's like, I can't drink milk, I can't eat cheese, I can't do any dairy, and it changed a lot. But he's I can't. He was actually heavier in high school.
Dang. Well, I gotta be honest. I gotta look this up. What exactly is E. coli? Group of bacteria that usually lives in your gut without hurting you, but some strains can make you sick with watery diarrhea or a UTI. Why do I keep using these acronyms? I'm looking this up because I don't know what these things mean.
UTI is urinary tract infection.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I thought that was like United Transmission Incentives, something.
Yeah, that's comes in a close second.
Yeah. All right. Well, how do you get E. coli? Let's see. Infections are typically contracted by having unprotected sex with 2 old gay dudes.
Whoa!
Or eating contaminated food or water, or through contact with animals or infected people. Yeah. So you can get it sexually.
Yeah, it turns out. So I think he used to do whitewater rafting, and I think he flipped over in a boat or something in some bad water.
Oh.
He was underwater or something. He got sick after that, and then he got E. coli from it, I think is what he said. So I don't know where he was or what, but yeah, he said he got
down in Costa Rica or something.
Nah, I mean, it's usually around here, but there's whitewater rafting. It's pretty big.
Yeah, but with I would assume like with flowing water, it wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. Usually water in motion.
Yeah,
It doesn't stagnate. But who knows what's going on upstream at that time? Who knows what runoff?
yeah. Was that movie the?
You know,
I think it was the Tuxedo or something. When the it's not very good, but it's got Jackie Chan, so there's some cool stunts and stuff. But
oh yeah, the tuxedo transforms him.
yeah, like gives him the powers. And then
Okay.
what's her name is like super hot. Um, fuck, what was her name? Chat, if you're out there, help me out. Was that the big-breasted, skinny chick? And that was really popular in like every movie back in the '90s.
Yeah, who knows?
Not Sarah. Jennifer Love Hewitt. That's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's in there.
Yeah.
And but anyway, yeah, that's got off track there.
Sidetrack.
Got boob tracked. But
To the doodad. To the doodad, chicken.
yeah, tickle betas. But yeah, there's like a deer or something. It might be a completely different movie. There's like a deer upstream in the at the beginning, and it's like it just shows like the tail lift up and it pees in the river, and then it shows like that flowing into like eventually bottled water.
Oh yeah,
something like that. I'm pretty sure that's the movie. But
yeah.
I mean, that's a great beginning. I'll give him that. Like, it's a great way to start. It's hilarious. But yeah, so like, I guess you could get it from, if you're at the particular moment that something like that happened. But man, what a bad case of luck there.
It does. Yeah, it said it didn't go well for a week or two. He was pretty sick, so just had to run its course. But,
yeah. Well, here's
so I don't know how to navigate that. To answer your question,
oh yeah,
is again, I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, but they don't know anything anyway. Clearly.
Well, a lot of doctors will use WebMD maybe to figure stuff out. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're going to prescribe the solution. They're not going to say, well, you got to eat healthy and change your life. They're going to say, well, keep doing what you're doing, and we can mask these symptoms with a drug, approved by the FDA, of course. Now, is that going to help you live longer and your quality of life? Well, it's debatable. I mean, do you want to make a change? If not, then no, maybe you can just bide your time. But if you truly do want to make a change and improve, then yeah, it's probably worth adjusting your diet as best you can.
Yeah.
Well, for quality food.
I think
it means eating less.
Yeah, I think I'd argue though that it's like I would say that the drug route is never gonna help you. Like it's just not gonna do anything for you. Yeah, I think the only difference would be is like if you get E. coli and you need to get better, then yeah, you probably do need some drugs to kind of like speed that process up. But when it comes to diet and health, I found like there's no substitute to just getting your mind in the right place for it and just being like, I'm a fat fuck. And that food looks real good on the screen there, and I'm gonna eat it. But later, I'm gonna figure this out.
Motivation is a big one.
Yeah.
I mean, like you got to have, like Tony Robbins says, you got to have a strong reason why.
Yeah.
You want to do something.
Yeah.
And sometimes people reach a breaking point where they're just unhappy with what they see in the mirror, and then they do make that drastic change, and they transform quite a bit.
Yeah, one thing that I have here, and it's definitely not forgiving at all. Like in Japan, it's everything's small, so that I basically had a mirror that's maybe chest high and like my face, and that's it. But here,
so you couldn't even see the rest of your body.
Yeah. So, fortunately, I was in decent shape, so it wasn't like a big deal. But also, I'm like walking literally, the 10,000 steps is like gone within before noon while I was there. Not to mention all the stairs. It's just like everything's a temple going through Japan. But you didn't need any of that. You didn't need the vanity. They have fat people, but clearly, fat people in Japan. I see it more. I mean, it's definitely the case here, but it's definitely more of a there's something else going on, like depression or mentally,
Yeah.
or the lifestyle, like because it's if they're not much of saying like no to things for the most part, like like openly. So I'm sure like they're hanging out with their boss when the boss asks, and drinking and all that. So there's a lot of drinking going on in Japan. So surprisingly, they're not as big as they we are here, but I think it's because the food that they eat while they're drinking is definitely healthier. But yeah, so
the food was better.
Yeah, much
for sure.
And you can feel it too, right? Like,
oh yeah,
like
I felt better. Being over there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I came back, the first meal I had at the airport,
oh dude, it's brutal.
I felt terrible afterwards for like 4 hours. So the whole drive home, I was like feeling gross.
Well, it's funny because like now on the mirror thing, like I've got like full length, like not full length, almost full length mirrors, like at least the part that you don't want to see when you're fat, so like dick up. It's like now I get to see that all the time, and it's like a big, like a long mirror too. I've gradually seen myself get fatter, and then now I'm like,
is it a wide mirror?
It's wide. It's wide and tall. Yeah, so it's in the bathroom, and so the counter's like just below my penis, and so like the mirror is like that high. So yeah, it's really easy to do a quick wash though, so but yeah, so that's definitely I think part of the if you are fat, I think like just investing in some bigger mirrors and more of them would probably be a good thing. I think mentally that would help you out, because it definitely helped me out, because I'm like, all right, I need to do something here. So I'm like trying to figure that out. We'll get into that too, because I got some questions about like how you get into that routine there, because being here, like eating all this fattening food, I can feel it in my pores. Like it's hard to explain. It's like I don't just feel bloated, from all like the bread and potatoes and whatever's that are in like everything. It's like I just like it feels like like when you're in real humid areas, like it just feels like you're just ugh. Like, but it's like that's all I can feel. So like I'm trying to measure out like the food thing, but it's definitely different. It's not as clear to me, what the differences are for my body versus what I'm able to consume. So that's been a little bit of a challenge. So that's why I was curious.
From my experience,
yeah.
There, if you can get away from eating, everybody's gonna be like, well, you're crazy, it's impossible. But if you cannot eat at a restaurant, which is you would think is probably impossible, and don't buy stuff in a package, like prepackaged prepared food or whatever. Like if you can get, like I said, the single ingredient foods, and if you could eat that, or do like figure out a way to cook that on your own that maybe makes sense to you, that's easier said than done. But that after at least I would say even 2 weeks, maybe even 1 week, you would start to notice a difference. Because I have a coworker that he was inspired by my keto challenge and my fasting, that he actually did a few days of water fasting himself. And what he realized, not only that, so he did a few days of water fasting, and then he started changing his diet and really watching what he'll have carb wise, so reducing it quite a bit. So he used to have pain and inflammation in his knees or legs or hips or something like that. So it was hard for him to walk and do certain things.
Yeah, probably basically every joint, because that's how I feel sometimes.
Yeah. Well, no, he said that's gone away.
Yeah.
For about 80-90% of it.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, now that I'm walking more, he's like, I'm going to start jogging. Like I'm going to go to the track with my daughter, and we're going to jog 1 lap and walk a lap, and I'm going to start seeing if I can do a full lap of running, because he hasn't run in years, because of the pain. Well, I guess what part of it was I don't know, whatever he was eating or drinking.
Yeah.
And I noticed at work he would drink sodas and stuff like that. and have snacks. Well, you can't really do that, especially not every day, because if you drink a soda, you're having
Oh, that's
30, 40, 50 grams of sugar, depending on the size
yeah.
of the bottle.
I'll say
And it's
soda
like,
was worse than food when I started
yeah,
drinking some of that.
so yeah, you gotta, and people are gonna, it really depends on your lifestyle and what you think is
Yeah,
acceptable, but you really got to cut out all that prepackaged stuff. So,
yeah,
and that may be, here's what the reality might be is a lot of times people will use food as a daily event that they look forward to and as
yeah.
a way
The
of
reward.
escaping reality in a way. And it sounds funny, but it's probably true is that, and I'm saying this for myself too, is you'll you'll realize how much more time you have to get shit done once you start cutting out all of
Oh yeah.
the recreational eating and snacking.
Like, yeah, but what about second breakfast?
Yeah, second breakfast. Exactly. Yep.
Oh man, it's also funny too because I think I don't know about you, but in my experience, like it's not necessarily like yeah you do need to cut out all these things and we'll get into single ingredients because I'm curious about like your not recipes but like your single ingredients, but like I've found that it's that's just the thing that happens in consequence to
Mm.
you fixing the mental problem that you have. So with me recently, because you know I'm in transition, right?
Yeah, I
And
can tell.
yeah, and I'm just trying to, you know, I'm just trying to get all my stuff right, and you know, but you know, just going through, you know, restarting up the YouTube stuff and like trying to figure out what that needs to look like, and then like, I'm clearly in the like the next season change for my you know my year, my personal year, because I definitely found where it's like the motivation to do things is like pretty low at the moment, and
Yeah.
you know it's once I realize that is when I'm able to make these changes like this kind of stuff. So and it's
Mm.
not, it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with like just the food and the content and like just making those changes. It's literally like a complete shift that I have to do. For example, like that's why I think having like big mirrors and things where you can get in your head like that mental motivation is for me that's the most important thing to like not just any task but like especially when it comes to like food and exercise and like you know going to jiu-jitsu or something like that, you know, that's
Mm.
right now it's more of a financial as well as you know getting myself ready to go, but like in the past, like when I was in Japan doing it, it was literally like every single time it was a mental game of not just fucking go, you gotta just go. And it was like every
Yeah.
time like there was like every excuse that I could think of, and I think that's the
Mm.
same thing that happens with food. It's just I don't think it happens as often or as like noticeable, which I think is why it's the problem. Like it's kind of like gradual, as you said, like you know second breakfast and all that BS. Like it
Yeah.
just kind of creeps up on you. You get a little, I'm a little munchy right now. I'm gonna get some snacks, and then
Yeah.
so I just don't have snacks in the house, like at all. So
Yeah.
that was one of the things that I had to do was just get rid of them.
Well, they say if you're getting well, especially if you're exercising, which I guess we'll talk about later,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
if you're eating the right amount of the right proportions of food and the right amount of protein you need to sustain whatever goals you have, then you shouldn't really have too much extra time or room or feeling hungry to
yeah,
want to snack in between that because usually you're eating so much protein
yeah,
that I mean you always have some snack or something. It's just not junk food. It's not a soda and it's not a candy bar. It's usually a protein shake or it's usually some almonds or
yeah,
like if you do have like sugar, it's like mixed berries or
yeah,
something that's what would generally be considered healthy.
yeah,
It's not a high sugar fruit or whatever, but so yeah. Anyway, again, that was my experience working with the trainer. Is I had to eat so much food that I didn't have room for. a cheesecake or
Right.
soda or ice cream or whatever. Like you were eating so much already, you just weren't hungry for anything else. You
Yeah.
could barely eat what you needed to eat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what was
And I
that?
was eating 5, 6 times a day.
Yeah. Well,
So
there
I
was
was definitely
like to
snacking.
gain your friend like trying to gain weight. Like that's when you have a metabolism like that, which he clearly does. Like
Yeah.
you have to just like make yourself miserable, like food wise, to get that. Once you do, then it's a little easier because you get like I'm all about routines. Like once a routine is set, your body, your mind, not your body, your mind
Yeah.
kind of says, okay, well, fuck it, now this is our life now, and then it just
Yeah.
resets. But you have to get there, and I think that's probably where your friend is at. Is like he's having such a struggle to keep the weight, like that it's not worth it to him. But if he makes it worth it, then that's when he'll have that shift, and then his body or mind will give up on the fight, essentially. So from my experience,
Well,
that's how it works.
he's also having some lower back pain and stuff like that. And I wonder if he would benefit from fasting and or a diet adjustment. I just don't know what he eats. So here's one thing. Here's one thing I tell everybody or anybody that asked about it,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been talking about it lately too. So it's fresh on my mind. But um, first thing, don't do anything crazy. Just track
Yeah.
your food. Track every single thing as best you can, as close you can. Get a scale. You're going to need one eventually, so just get a food scale. They're not that expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, track everything that you're eating, and that will give you the baseline. Like you said before with your spreadsheet,
Oh yeah.
the data, you're collecting data at this point. You're not making any changes. You're not doing anything different.
Yeah. That's step one is data.
Just collect the data and track it and see what it looks like over a couple of weeks, a month, maybe.
Yeah.
And track your exercise too and see what you do already that is considered exercise, like, or dedicated exercise, like a hike or going for a long walk or whatever stuff that's not recreational. If you go to the gym,
Yeah.
you're weightlifting for 30 to 45 minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, step one, you have to track. So step one is awareness. You got to track accurately, and that's key. Don't cheat.
Yeah.
And then see where you are. And you'll see that your calories, your sugar, and your protein, those are all, the balance is off. You're probably eating a lot more sugar than you thought, and you're probably eating way less more protein than you thought. But your carbs and your calories total is probably over 2 to 3,000.
It
depends who you are.
It's got to be up there to like 3,000. If you're like fat, like, or gaining weight, it's got to be got to be close to like 3,000 calories there. Unless you're not doing anything. But like I've found that basically anything less than 2,000, I'm not very functional. Like even on the days where I'm not doing anything, like maybe even especially on the days where I'm not, like, I'm just lounging around on a lazy Sunday or something. Like if I don't get the calories in me, like, because that's another thing, because a lot of foods, like especially if they're prepackaged things, like they'll be like, oh, it's got 24 grams of protein, and then you look at the calorie count and it's like nothing, and it's like, well, that protein's not going to do me as good as it says, because I do need the other stuff. It's like you need to and then that's where you get into the problem, because now you're adding additional meals that you don't really need if you're eating the right stuff. So I think that's part of the problem with these like not cooking for yourself, is you're getting either way too many calories per meal, or you're getting not enough, which means you're going to be eating more meals, and then now you're in the same boat anyway. So like you get snacky. I think that's kind of what I'm getting at there. So get munchy.
Well, there's some people say calories in, calories out, and to some extent that is partially true. However, 1,000 calories of French fries is very different from 1,000 calories of like beef, chicken, or steak, or seafood, or mixed vegetables, or pick your whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
That's considered, again, that back to that single ingredient food that's not prepackaged, not processed, as best you can get it, So if you have French fries and ketchup, yeah, you could do that every day, but are you going to reach your macros
Yeah.
that you might, again, might make you feel better? So you gotta, kind of wrap your mind around. Again, you don't have to do anything. You can stay if you're
Yeah.
happy the way you are and you feel great, then by all means, don't make a change.
Yeah.
Go skip to the next episode or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you're
But you're fat,
if you're
so stay here.
yeah, but
You
you're fat
fat
and
fuck.
you're lazy and
Yeah. That's yeah.
you're not happy with things or
Yeah.
whatever, things could be better.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to mean you're unhappy, but yeah,
Yeah.
you want to make a change, and a good way to do that is understanding what what is actually going on with the
Yeah.
whole food deal, because some people just they
Hmm.
they may not have ever thought about it in a certain way, like thinking critically about what I'm told is healthy versus what is actually healthy.
Yeah. It's
And
like because
99% of the time, what you're told is healthy is
yeah.
absolutely not healthy.
Well, I gotta look. Actually, I gotta look this up. Speaking of that, it's gonna sidetrack a little bit, but I saw this like the other day. Like, bananas are not a good source of potassium.
I think you could probably get it in other ways. And if you're going to ask me, I don't know. I would Google it and see
Yeah, I'm
what
gonna
other
find out
options
like
you
what is
have,
the
because it's not only bananas, but you can get potassium in a lot of other stuff that,
so
maybe it's not a fruit that comes with sugar,
yeah.
That's the other thing. It's like you're getting potassium maybe, but you're also getting how much sugar?
Let's see. So it's like all right. Bananas are readily known as a source of potassium. They
Mhm.
they are not the most potassium rich food, which is my understanding is that they were, which is you know
I think
uh,
spinach is up there,
a
right?
medium
Or kale.
kale for sure. Yeah, a medium banana contains around 422 milligrams of potassium, which is a good source. But other foods like sweet potatoes, lentils, and kidney beans. Huh.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. If
All
you're a
right.
vegan, you probably already know about the beans
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah. Well, that's good
But
news because I actually
sweet
don't like
potatoes,
I don't like the taste of bananas anyway.
yeah, that's surprising because you're a gay dude.
I
So,
know, right? Like I should totally love slobbing on a hog banana. I mean, what? What?
I don't know.
I mean, there's just nothing like just grabbing onto that big old yellow banana and just peeling the skin back like an uncircumcised penis, and just going to town on it. It's just glorious.
One bite.
Yeah, yeah. You just got to take it all in one bite. You got to mind the stepchildren too. Don't forget.
Mine's
Yeah.
Dude, is that from South Park?
No, that was well, maybe the voices, but that was the stepchildren was old school. Andy Dick.
Oh yeah.
He's like, don't forget you to use your teeth.
Behind the
Oh,
stepchildren.
dude, that guy is fucking crazy, Andy Dick.
Yeah.
He's so funny though.
Oh yeah. He was given the class, right?
Yeah, yeah, the blowjob
To the
class.
ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
It's
BJ
like, hey,
class.
what do you say to that one that she was doing it all fucked up looking, and he's like, you're not sucking on a mama teat or something like that.
I don't know.
It's like, what are you
I
doing
haven't
over
seen
there?
that clip.
But what the hell was I talking about? Oh, the banana. Okay, so yeah, so like yeah, there's obviously like I think the banana thing was it goes back to like the Kellogg brothers, that when they invented that cereal on accident because they accidentally found mold or something, and then they found out that it was like something you could eat. I think it's the story.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, so it was like they were trying to do bread or something, and all these little like moldy chunks were in the thing, and like as they were working it out, they realized that you could actually eat these little moldy things. I'm not 100% if that's right, but because I think that's from Drunk History. But as far as I know, all their facts are right. They just say it in a drunk while they're hammered drunk.
That's a cool show.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny because it's way better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be about like drunk people in history, But when I first saw it, it was like just people getting hammered talking about history. I was like, oh, this is so much better. And the acting is so good too. But anyway, yeah. So something with like they partnered with some scientist or something to say that bananas were a really good source of potassium, so they could do the commercials with putting bananas in the Kellogg cereal. And then they also had like coupons that they would give everybody for bananas, or if you buy Kellogg's you get $1 off bananas or something. So they had this like racket going or something, supposedly. I don't know if this is true, but so definitely look that up.
Yeah,
this is just some totally not gay dude on the internet talking to another totally not gay dude about something that might not be true.
Well, unless they were also investing in the local, Banana Republic.
Well, I think that's what it was. Is they were all like making money off of that.
Because look at what happened with orange juice.
Yeah,
orange juice, to transition from eating beef to chicken. It's like the advertising changed quite a bit. And I actually heard this on an NPR episode years ago, where they were talking about the amount of beef consumed versus chicken, and it's like over the last 100 years that has almost shifted to. It's like a lot of people eat chicken now.
Yeah,
and hardly anybody eats beef. Well, it used to be. They were saying, I think it used to be the opposite 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Like a lot of beef,
which is interesting though.
Chickens were there for eggs,
Yeah, what's interesting because I find like chickens seem to be like for poorer people, like the easier one to get.
Yeah, well, the chickens also produce eggs, so
so maybe they don't want to eat it.
But yeah, you probably don't want to eat one of those every week, unless you just have a ton of chickens. But I don't know. I don't have a farm. My brother does have chickens on his farm, so well, I don't know if they butchered the chickens though. Well, I don't think they do.
Not to worry. The next episode we'll be going over chicken coops and big black cocks.
Yeah,
chickens, black chickens, because he sent a picture of some black chickens.
You gotta have
specifically. That's what we're talking about.
You got to have a rooster there to pollinate those flowers.
Yeah. So we'll get some knowledge on that, because he just built the chicken coop and got some new farm equipment, which I think is like a 1941 tractor or something, which I'm real interested in. That thing looked badass. Yeah. So I'll try to remember to get him to send me some pictures of the coop and those big black cocks and the old farm equipment.
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah. A big old black cock, banana peel, with the skin, and just scrumptious. Cooked chicken.
That potassium. Yeah, so
banana chicken.
That is one of the things I had to learn when I was on this journey of me trying to understand. Here's how it really started. I was trying not to get diabetes. The diet thing.
Okay.
Because I was told that diabetes is hereditary, and my mom had diabetes.
Oh yeah, my dad did too.
When she was in her, I think she got it after a pregnancy. So I think it's called gestational diabetes.
Oh.
Something
That's
like that.
Something new.
But yeah, so some women get it on or during or after, I think, their pregnancy. And sometimes, like, I had a coworker, she said she had something like that, and then it went away. But she's also pretty healthy. She works out a lot and tries to eat right and stuff like that. So, but anyway, so it was like, I was like, okay, well, what causes diabetes? And it's just the bombardment of sugar in your system daily. And that's what it seems to me.
Really?
I mean,
okay.
I'm not a doctor.
I thought it was more than that, but that makes sense though.
Well, it's just like if you were to have you wake up in the morning and you drink a sugar coffee from Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks, right? You have your latte and it's like 15, 20 grams of sugar, and you get like 3 pumps of vanilla, flavor or whatever. And then you go to work, and then your lunch is maybe you went to Burger King or something. You got a soda, you got French fries, whatever. Well,
Yeah.
that's another ton of sugar. And then you go for dinner, and who knows? I don't know. Maybe you get Chinese food, and
With
then
a
it's
milkshake.
another soda
Yeah.
or a milkshake or whatever. I don't know what people eat,
I gotta have
or they would
my
drink sweet tea.
my Kung Pao chicken with a milkshake. It's just the way I live my life. I grip it and I rip it.
Yeah, yeah. You gotta get that double thick shake
Yeah.
from whoever makes those. I don't know.
Wang Chang's. Yeah.
Wang Chang's
Yeah.
double dong
Yeah.
shake.
Was that Madam Hands on Wings? Yeah, I gotta bring that back. That's gold, Jerry. That's gold.
It's gold. It's gold.
Yeah.
So yeah. So just like I said, if you were to add up everything that you're eating and snacks, so you go to the vending machine at work, or you grab a
Hmm.
candy bar, or chips, or you'll see that you're getting a lot of sugar. And if you do that and then you don't burn it off, then I think it just basically you build up a resistance. Your cells, or sometimes it's just that constant bombardment. I don't
Hmm.
know the exact scientific process or cellular
No, that sounds right.
process, but for you to utilize energy from your food, I think you got to process some of that sugar. Well, if it's not getting into the cell due to, like I said again, I don't know what it's called, but
Mhm.
you develop a resistance to it because you always have elevated blood sugar. Well, then I think after, it may not happen right away, and
Mhm.
I think it usually doesn't. It's a slow roll, right? So you're
Yeah.
40, 50, 60 years old, and then you start to see the effects of 50 years of poor diet and exercise
Yeah.
choices.
Yeah.
But nobody thinks like that. They just think, oh, it's just getting old. Well,
Yeah.
that may not be the case because, well, not everybody reacts the same. And then,
Yeah.
you look at people with, I think a majority of people with you know, a decent amount of, healthy diet and exercise, they usually are healthier as they get older, and they're
Yeah.
more mobile, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, but
So
I gotta have my ding dongs.
I know. Well, look at
And
Gaby.
I gotta have
They're
them pounding their way through my body.
the ding dongs. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, it's
Yep.
like I think so. I think there's a couple routes because I think a lot of people like I'm just not good with the counting of the calories. Like it's like there's a disconnect for sure with me and math, or maths depending on where you're from. If you're from the other countries, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what it is. Like I just can't do that. Like but I can do like if I would say like counting items would be also a good thing that you could try. So if you're to give people some options, right? Like so if you're not able to count calories like me, then maybe counting items. I found that be how many actual pieces of things that you eat. That's been pretty helpful. And you count that as not like potato chip, but like not necessarily I finished the bag of potato chips, but the fact that I ate potato chips, that's one, right? And then if you counted those all through the day and you realize you're eating 10 things essentially, but it's like what are those 10 things that you're eating? Now you kind of have like the data that we're talking about. So you're still collecting data, but in a different way. So it's like, what are you actually eating? And then how many of those things are you eating? And then another thing that worked for me was like just labeling the foods that I'm eating. So it doesn't matter like how many of those things I'm eating, just what am I actually eating? And then trying to figure out like, okay, which one of these do I really, I just kind of blindly eat. So for example, like, I used to eat potato chips like all the fucking time. And then I realized like I wasn't actually enjoying them. Like I do like the taste of potato chips, but in the times that where was a problem, it was like I was just eating them. Like I was just blindly devouring bags of potato chips, and it was like, oh well, if I'm not going to enjoy them, then what the hell's the point? And so that was one of the things where I was like, oh, I can cut this out because yeah, I'm eating them, but I can't remember a time where I actually like tasted them. You know,
That's weird.
yeah, because it's just like you know, you watch a movie or you know whatever the thing is that you do when you eat that thing. Like popcorn is one of those things that I gotta be careful with. Is because like I'll watch a movie and I'll eat like a thing of popcorn that's good for like 3 people. You know, it's just blindly eating. So like things
popcorn.
like yeah, so like things like that. It's like I was able to cut that out because I could like basically I sat down and I was like, all right, out of these things that I'm eating, um, do I enjoy eating this thing? And I was like, okay, yes, okay, we'll put that to the side for now. And then I just literally could not think of like I can't actually think of the what it tastes like. And so that was something I had to cut out because I was like, well, it's a waste of money at that point if I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah.
But yeah, give people options there.
There is a way to track because I don't want people to think that they can just get off that easy. But
yeah,
there's
they
apps.
do need to track.
There's applications that they can use. Well, it just depends. If they're serious about it and they want to make a change, if not, then they won't make a change. So this is more for those people that are wanting to know how.
Yeah.
But there's apps like the Lose It app is one that I use.
Lose It.
There's I think MyFitnessPal, but yeah, Lose It, like LOSEIT. The Lose It app's pretty good, and you can enter the food. You can just start typing in the food, like now, especially if it's a packaged food, or you can actually pay for. It used to be for free, but you can pay now, like every app, right? And you can scan the barcode, and it'll automatically put the food into the app.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, and you can separate your meals. You can add your water intake for the day. You can add your exercise, your activities like running, walking, weightlifting, hiking, mowing the lawn, whatever.
Nice.
You can add all that in there, and it'll kind of build a plan for you based on your age and your weight and your goal weight. And it'll say, well, here, you need to be at 600 calories a day.
Yeah.
And you just start adding up the food, and then, but yeah, you can do it, and you can do it, I would say, close enough to know. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to do it. Say you do it consistently. You're going to start to realize what you need to eat to stay within your your caloric range there for weight loss. Because you'll know when you go over it, the progress bar turns red, and you should probably stop at that point.
Yeah.
Now, if you're still hungry and you're eating your calories, then now you've got to really look at what is the quality of food that you're eating.
Yeah.
Because if you're eating 2,600 calories of soda and potato chips, yeah, you're probably still gonna be hungry after that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because your body's trying to get rid of that shit. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, two. And two is you're gonna also probably have to get used to eating less so that your body is satisfied with less. But as the quality increases, you can decrease the volume. This is my opinion, and you're not going to feel terrible. What happens is you have the crash from the sugar or the carbs, and yeah, you're going to have some withdrawals, and you're going to have some adjustment period where it's going to feel like you're really hungry, and you're going to think you're going to starve, but that's not really the case.
Yeah.
And I have done water fasting for days. I did a week one time, just 7 days of water. So you will not die. I'm living proof. You can achieve your goals.
But did you feel like you were going to die?
No. Well, the first time, to get on a different topic, the first time I started doing this fasting and the keto diet, it was terrible because I was doing it wrong.
Okay. So does that mean like the keto flu or whatever?
I never got that personally. Some people do, I think, but I never got it.
Yeah.
Even though I did some things wrong, it was just what I was doing was not. I wasn't following the rules of keto. I was doing as Dr. Berg says, sort of keto. As Dr. Berg is a guy, he has a YouTube channel. He's not the only one, but he's one person has a keto YouTube channel.
Okay.
You can check him out and
Dr.
make your own decision. Yeah.
See if I warm up.
Some people say he's a scam artist. No, I think he sells a lot of products. I haven't purchased really anything except this electrolyte solution one time. But yeah, so there's ways to do it the wrong way, and you're going to have a terrible time. So here's my assessment of that. People, number one, they don't really know how to go about it, because you're it's like trying to learn a new language. You, there's so many nuances to it, uh, that you don't always get it right at first. You got to practice. You
Yeah.
got to go through and learn, and you got to go through several iterations of this. So you're going to make mistakes. You're going to do things wrong. You're going to have a terrible time. You're going to feel terrible. Now that doesn't mean that it's going to happen like this if you do it right. But your first time your body transitions from carb burning to fat burning, first time ever, it's not going to be, for most people, it's not easy and it's not comfortable.
Yeah.
So you're going to think, oh, this keto doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's probably what you're going to think.
Well, I mean,
and
that's why
people
diets don't work anyway. Is if that's where you're at, you're already setting yourself up to failure, even if it's successful. Like, because you're just not in the mindset of like getting it done no matter what. So
yeah, they don't do it. Well, they don't do it right way, and they don't do it long enough.
Yeah.
To really see the benefits. And like I said, I was determined to figure it out because I didn't want to have diabetes like my parents. So
yeah,
I said, well, I instead of following conventional wisdom, I said, I'm gonna see what's really going on. I'm gonna test these things and see how it goes. So I did a bunch of stuff, but to get back to the keto thing, yeah, you're gonna most likely encounter these challenges in the adjustment period where you're trying to figure out what you can and can't eat. It's safer just to eat nothing. But then it becomes all mental strength. So if you're weak mentally and you don't really have a good reason why you want to do this, then it's real easy to go back to the old ways and the old habits of whatever. So I would encourage people to try cycle on and off, try a few different things. If that's what you want to do, it's a quick way to lose a bunch of water weight at first. If nothing else, you lose 10 pounds in a couple of weeks of just, you're going to lose a lot of water weight. Your pants will fit looser too, as a byproduct of that. And you may lose some real weight too, body fat wise, but that's a little bit probably down the road in discussion.
Yeah. Well,
so you're tracking your food, and you're starting to, I guess the next step would be adjust. Now that you know what you're eating, start to figure out what you can comfortably take out. If you want to do a slow progression into a lifestyle change versus a drastic crash diet that you'll eventually not do anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You might look at, say, well, what can I enjoy in moderation, and what do I really need to be eating?
Yeah.
And we're not even talking about exercise yet.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. So that's the second half.
That's a whole. We don't even want to talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about PT.
Yeah. Well,
did you see that? Did you see that Tack Talk YouTube video?
No. Wait. Maybe.
Oh my gosh! Can we play it?
Tack Talk
here.
Let's see.
Tack Talk. Yeah, it's a YouTube video. And I think it's called like 1-900 Tack Talk or something.
1-900.
Yeah, if you look on YouTube, search YouTube.
There's a couple of videos here.
1-900 Tack Talk. It should be a guy with like camo gear, and he's on a radio, or he's got the Singar up to his ear.
Is it like a commercial? Is it?
It looks like it would be.
Okay. So this is probably it. Hang on.
Can you play on YouTube, or is it not allowed?
It's like 3 minutes and 20. I think if we pause it every once in a while, it should be
okay. Because I mean, there's no music. There's like music in the background, but it's just their words.
Okay. Let's see.
It is really funny.
Shit.
And it's somewhat related to what we're talking about.
All right. Let me see. I might be able to pull this up here. But yeah, you're kind of talking about I was thinking maybe if people aren't quite there yet, like they're at this stage, because what I did find is with the mental part of food is it wasn't until I got my other shit together that I started like being able to conquer this, like, and go after this. So like one, getting my apartment clean, like, and doing, so if you go back to episode 10, if you're not quite here yet, go to episode 10. That'll help you make a spreadsheet to figure out where you are, and at least getting some foundation and getting some wins, which is really, really important, and wins that you can actually do step by step. And then you can get here. And if you still don't feel that way, then maybe if you're a drinker, then I'll make another episode eventually about how that process went. The 5 years it took me to finally officially quit, or however long that was. I think it was about 5 years. But from the time that I was like, I want to be done with it, to the time that I actually was, holy shit, that took a long time. There's a lot of relapse.
Well, the truth, and I believe this absolutely, is truthfully, food is sometimes a replacement for some of the feelings and some of the emotions that we should be getting in other areas of our life.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, here's another thing to look up is Tony Robbins talks about the hierarchy of needs. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to
get it, understand that too.
Click this stupid thing off. Keep talking.
1-900 TAC. Yeah, that's.
Damn it! It won't let me click this stupid thing. Yeah. So
you can't actually play the sound.
Well, usually I have a button here, but I can't see the button. Maybe it's this. Nope. Shit.
Oh.
Where I can like actually. Oh, Jesus Christ! Where I can actually click on the thing.
In an ideal world,
oh, there it is.
You have a fulfilling life where you're happy, and there's people around you that are also happy, and you have a good, decent social network. You have a strong family unit. You have a challenging job with a purpose. You have a mission in life.
Yeah, that's a big one.
You have hobbies that interest you, right? So if you're missing any of these things in this category, you're missing love from family members or love from a partner. You may possibly turn to food for any sort of partner. You may possibly turn to food as a distraction or a replacement, right?
Yeah.
And or you may, like you talked about in the previous episode, you may turn to masturbation, or you may turn to pornography, or you may turn to just like maybe you just entertain yourself by video games or something
while masturbating. Yep, been there.
Yeah,
some of those video game chicks are hot, man. Can't
double tasking,
and some of them buff dudes in those fighting games. You gotta be careful.
So you can't ignore the mental, emotional, spiritual aspect of your life forever. You can focus on one area at a time, like diet or activity, but eventually I think what people will find is that you eventually have to tackle that area too.
Yeah.
Whatever spiritual leanings you have, whether you go to church or whether you don't, whatever, but maybe I don't know what agnostic and atheist people really do for to have that like higher purpose or a moral compass. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure, because they still kind of technically go to church, right? They have gatherings.
So. Well, there's still, and maybe that fulfills the need of a sense of community and purpose and stuff like that. So again, it's the human needs are basic. In that you need some sort of security, and you need variety, and you need love and connection, and you need significance, and then you need to contribute, and you need to learn and grow. And so if you look up Tony Robbins human needs, you can see a chart there that describes different, and to me it's different stages. You have a basic need, like everybody understands we have a basic need for food and shelter. And once that need is satisfied,
what was it called again? Before you,
it's called. If you Google Tony Robbins human needs,
needs,
needs.
Got it. All right, and
You can
then
see a chart. You can cover
six human needs.
6 human needs. Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
And look at that chart, and
So
then of course take care of the basic ones first, and then you progress through. Most people have security and the first two met, like variety or something.
certainty,
Certainty.
uncertainty, variety. Yeah. Okay. Significance, connection, love, growth, and contribution. Oh yeah, I've heard him talk about these.
Yeah. So
yeah. Well, what's interesting about that, because it's kind of along the lines of.
Can you show that on the thing, by the way?
Yeah.
Because now you got YouTube up there and it's just blank.
Let's see. Hang on. Shit. Lost my mouse. Hopefully this will let me scroll down so you can actually read it. Let's see. I go down. Oh, sweet. Figured it out. Shit, went too far. Gotta go back up. Damn it. Hang on. I don't know how to make this like a normal mouse. Let me try to reset this.
Do you have the trackpad?
No, it's the program that I'm using. It changes the
Where's the chart? You can Google an image of the chart and
let me try that.
It's a really easy graphic to display.
Anyway, keep going on that so we don't have this like dead air here.
Yeah, dead space. So okay, so so you will through your normal activities in life, usually you're trying to meet these 6 human needs, and based on your progress, you might say, in meeting the needs, you advance up to the growth and contribution in the end, right?
Right.
So you can't. Now here's a good example. I use this. Franklin, I think, is it the Franklin Covey talks about the concept of the emotional bank account.
Oh yeah.
You ever heard of that?
Yep,
Franklin
definitely.
Covey? Okay, so if you have, say, $100 in your account, or say you have zero, and your friend asks you for $50, well, if you have zero, you're not going to be able to help them out no matter what, because you just don't have any money in your account. Well, the same works emotionally, and that's kind of what he illustrates in the book. But and it works, and principally with a lot of things in life is you can't move to the next level and help other people grow and contribute without having satisfied these other basic human needs. So you would need to have certainty. And a lot of people, especially women, see that as safety and security. They want to know
security
that, well, sometimes, but security. But they want to know that, especially if they're married and they have kids, they want to know the home is safe. They want to know the kids are safe. They want to know the husband's got things under control and he's, the bills are being paid and they're not going to end up on the street and stuff like that. Right. Well, they want to feel protected.
We'll have to revisit that bills being paid part, because that's like a really small percentage of what they're actually looking for.
Well, that's a big, that's part of it, but that's a big one. I guarantee you, if you stop paying some bills,
obviously, but because they'll notice,
the women get very uncomfortable real quick.
Yeah, they consider that like
I would
giving.
argue it's not a little one. Yeah. I would argue it's a big one.
Yeah, but I think it's more of like they just see that as something that already happened or should already be happening. Versus,
I agree with that
versus like the other things that they start to nitpick and look at, which we'll have to get into when we do the lady episode.
So, but this would apply to the needs, because the women are not going to have different needs than this anyway. If you're paying the bills, certainty is already met in that.
Yeah, right. In that, I see what you're saying.
In that aspect, now uncertainty and variety. Well, that's probably a case where she's like, well, you need to go on a date at least once a month if you're married. If not, figure out another way to do things.
Yep.
Just with you two. and or there's going to be variety that gets brought into your life by work or friends or the kids and stuff like that. So there's always variety. There's new TV shows that come out. There's new, you can, buy a new house, buy a new car. You can get into retail therapy. A lot of people get stuck in that loop.
Oh yeah, yeah,
For variety, and uncertainty, because you don't want to know everything. Women get really bored when they know everything that's going to happen. So date planning, that's another thing. Don't tell them what's going on. Just say, hey, I have a date.
yeah,
We're pick you up at 8, dress accordingly
yeah.
for whatever, here's dress, and then she'll be like, oh, well, tell me, I don't like surprises or whatever. It's
Yeah,
like,
red
well, no, they
flag,
really
boom,
do.
right there.
They do like surprises if it's if it's done in a certain way. Like,
Yeah.
women don't like being catcalled unless the guy's hot,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it depends, but they like the drama of the evening unfolding.
Yeah.
And going through an experience, you're leading them through the experience.
Yeah.
If they're a feminine woman, they'll enjoy that. If they're
So,
masculine and they got a bunch of issues, and trusting men is one of them, then maybe that could be a problem down the road.
So in any of those scenarios, whether they are normal or more masculine, no magic. Just stay away from magic. That's not the surprise we're talking about here.
Yeah, if you're, I mean, I would say,
there's my penis.
Magic
is, it's gone. There's my penis.
Yeah.
It's gone. Nothing like that.
Yeah, but getting back to the diet thing.
Yeah. So where that falls into this thing here. Actually,
so,
before
before
you get into that, I wanted to mention that you brought up like them being bored, and I think just in general, one of the things that I found was the busier I got, the more these things that were so for example, like when I started before I finally officially like just stopped drinking entirely, the times where I was like on pause essentially was when I was the busiest. I was so busy that I just wasn't even thinking about it. Like I just had so many things going on that were going well, and I was knocking things out. And that's kind of when I was developing my, getting my chores done essentially. And I was just knocking it out and doing it well. But once I got that a system in place, I got more time. And so now, and then that's when I would go back into, drinking heavily, because it was like, I'm bored again, essentially. I've got my routines, and even though I'm drinking again, I'm still doing those routines because they're routines now. But they're almost so efficient at it that now I have extra time to be bored. And then, so that was definitely one of the things is I just had to, that's why I split my life into 4 seasons now, fiscal year. So instead of starting on January 1st, I start on like April 1st. So when everybody's falling off the wagon,
a lot to tackle, huh?
yeah. So you have to do. I might even put in like 6
3 or 4
seasons,
months.
But
3 months and a quarter.
Yeah,
and then it's not too long down the road.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I got to do this next month or 2 months from now or whatever.
Yeah, but that'll be a different conversation.
A good point.
But yeah, that's I wanted to make sure I hit that because that was something that was significant in my journey. Was finding ways not to be bored and just being not excited, just busy. And so and that's why like I did really well at work, is because I was so busy at work that I didn't have time to even not to do a shitty job, so that's like the advantage of having a really busy schedule. That's not just work, but like at home is like you just don't have time to be tired or lazy. But anyway,
and you can prioritize stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So
kind of
I got rid of the things that weren't actually important because I had to do something, and it was on this list. And I was okay, can I do I have time to do the things that aren't really necessary for me? Or if the answer is no, then okay, that I can't do that. I got to take it off the list. But yeah, anyway, but back to the I mean, it's still on the same topic there of diet. Like it's the mindset of not being bored to where you're just eating, I guess, is kind of where I was going with that.
Well, if you're eating for there's
for 2?
Another book that I read. Yeah, if you're eating for 2 or if you're eating to give you a feeling of like pleasure or enjoyment, and that you may not be getting from life or your partner or whatever, it's like, you might consider that, and I think most people that are in that situation don't think about it like that,
Yeah.
they're not they're not in a self-improvement mode anyway. They're not in an analyst mode anyway.
Yeah.
So already, I think if you're at that point where you're starting to think about things,
Mhm.
analyze stuff, break things down, collect data, annotate, take notes,
Yeah.
really kind of step back and look at things, like that's a totally different mindset. And you're probably in a very small percentage. So I think the average person just kind of coasts through life and they're responding to stimulus
Yeah.
and they're more like reactive. So if you can get to the point where you're proactive, then you're already on the right path, I would say.
Yeah.
It's to self-improvement of some sort. And at the end, you'll be better for yourself and other people anyway.
Yeah.
You can't help other people unless you yourself are in a position
Yeah.
to help. And that sounds probably silly to say, but
No.
the truth is, like, yeah, you can't save anybody else if you
Yeah.
yourself need saving, or you can't bail anyone else out if you're in trouble too.
Yeah. Well, I think that's along the lines of like everything has a tool for you to forge from that experience. So if it's a bad experience, there's a tool there. If it's a good experience, there's a tool there. If it's just a passerby experience, there's a tool there. And one of the passerby's ones, however you say that, passersby ones, whatever. the seemingly insignificant things that experiences that you have. So I fly quite often now, like probably like once a month, and something that I've taken into my own repertoire now is the mindset that you get from flying, and it's the thing that nobody wants to pay attention to because it's fucking boring, and it's just like, oh yeah, I know. But when the flight attendants are going over the security or safety stuff, and when they talk about when the oxygen mask falls down, it's like, make sure that yours is sealed and fitting you perfectly before helping anyone else, to include like women and children. Yeah. And it's like, I was like, oh, there's a rule to live by right there. It's like, and kind of like what you're saying there is like, just make sure that you're going to be okay first before you start trying to help everybody else, because you can't if you're dead, essentially. Or if you can't breathe. Yeah. Or if you're, drunk all the time, you can't help anybody in those states. I mean, maybe you can try. Whiskey dick.
You want to help, but you can't. you do more harm than good.
I thought this was America. What? I thought this was America. But it kind of goes along for that. Like, I've started thinking, because I'm going through some of these chapters that I'm writing, and I was kind of on the thinking lines of that, in the sense of like, why? Because I was like, why is hitting rock bottom so useful, or like a good place to be? And because I do think it is, and it's because if you actually hit the bottom, that means you've hit a surface of some kind. So that means you can like stand up, which is something you can't do if you're falling.
There's a silver lining there.
So it's like there's no you're at the bottom, and it's like, but the one thing, well, the one thing that happens though is if you burned all your bridges, then basically that means nobody's essentially going to be speaking to you. They're not going to be talking to you. You've hit rock bottom. But the good thing about that is now you don't have anybody like to worry about judging you, because they've already done that, which is why they're not around anymore. And it's like, oh, okay, well now I can start doing things, in silence essentially, and not be like worried about it, because there's nobody to care, essentially. So that's like one of the things that you can either dwell on the bottom, or you can, which means you're still falling. You actually haven't hit bottom if that's the case. But once you actually hit bottom, you're kind of like knocked back consciously into reality, and it's like, okay, well, the good news is there's nobody here to judge the things I'm about to do, which might be I'm a fat fuck and I need to get in shape, but I can't do any push-ups. Okay, so I'm going to do one girly push-up every day. Okay, well, that's pretty embarrassing. But if you're at rock bottom, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Like, nobody's there to judge you, and if they are judging you, like, then you don't need them around anyway, or they got their own shit going on. So, that's kind of what I've been noodling around with, like, how do I write that down on paper to make sense of it? But yeah, something like that. It's like if you're starting at this diet phase where it's like you don't know what to do, work backwards. What are the things that you can actually do that might not be related to food, but it might have some consequences of good consequences. Because that's another thing. It's like the vocabulary that you use is really important. And I've started to use like negative words as positive ones, because consequences doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be negative. It just means an outcome, right? So I use consequences as both positive and negative. And so there's no difference between the two. It's just a consequence that went this way and a consequence that went that way. So that's kind of, I guess, what I think is going to be the most important thing is weighing those consequences out and seeing which ones you're willing to sacrifice to get the better of the two consequences, even if it's not great. It's like doing one girly push-up is definitely better than not doing any and eating a bag of potato chips, but it's probably not going to feel good.
Or I mean, if you can play on your own emotions and do one push-up, and then you wanted potato chips, use that as a reward.
Well, I guess you could, but I don't like the reward one. I think I like the I like the enjoying the feeling of the task being complete. Like
some people don't get that, but I get it.
It's
accomplishment.
The way that I have to do it, it's not necessarily like, yay, that was awesome. I'm not. It's not like flamboyantly gay like that. It's more of a, like, I have to tell myself that I did a good job. It's like positive reinforcement that way. Even if I don't, even if I don't quite believe it as like a great deal, but it's like, so it's, what Jordan Peterson says, like, do it badly first. Like, I'm all about that. It's like, just do a really shitty version of what it is. Like, you see those guys in the gym and they do those push-ups where their back is all bowed in, and it's like, oh, Jesus Christ. But you know what? That's one more push than a lot of those fat fucks do. So it might be a shitty version of it, but they're starting on the path, right? Now I hope they correct that path, because that's part of it. You gotta make those adjustments, like. But I think that's a good thing is not getting rid of negative vocabulary, because I hear that, but like using the vocabulary as like literal terms. Like it's not how we actually use them, but what they actually mean. So like I was talking about like procrastination, right? It's like, why would we call it procrastination if it wasn't a good thing? Right? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, why would it be called manipulation if it wasn't a good
thing? Yeah. Why wouldn't it be called masturbation if it wasn't a good thing?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So like, things like just turn it around, like how can I, like, this word's not going to go away, essentially. It's, fat fuck, like, what, make a joke out of that if you got to, like, make fun of yourself, and like, that might give you the motivation to change.
Well, you brought up a good point, is wherever you are and whatever situation you're in, sometimes people don't realize that they do have a choice to make in that moment. A couple things is how they want to look at the situation, and then what they're going to do, or who they will be in this moment. Because
it's my moment.
In some ways, people can play an actor; they can play a part.
Yeah,
I mean, arguably, we're all portraying some level. Yeah, even right now.
Why do you think actors look so good
on the podcast?
They're always playing a part.
We talk differently to each other on the phone.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because I'm like explaining it like I'd be explaining it to a room of people, I guess.
But, yeah.
It's like, that's really important to know, and you got to remind yourself, because it's not always habit, is to say, okay, something bad happened. Oh wait, is it really a bad thing, or is it an opportunity for something else? Well, maybe it's a little bit of both. I didn't want to happen, but it did. Now what?
Yeah.
Because you can't change it. So like, what do you do now?
Yeah.
And right there, you have another choice to make. It's just like, well, how will I handle this?
Yeah.
It can ruin my day, or I can just proceed X, Y, and Z, whatever it is.
Yeah. Was it? That's also like an interesting thing too. Is I've also been noodling around with the idea that you're simultaneously always living in the past, present, and future. Like it's literally that's the case because what you experience is actually already happened essentially. Like by the time it registers, so there's nanoseconds or whatever. But also we can imagine what could be. You're in a sense you're attached to the future there because it really it's so gay, but it really is like if you can dream it, you can do it. Like that's literally what it is. Like, it's so gay, but it's so true.
It's so true.
Yeah, it's so manly, not gay, but gay.
The manifest. Well, I heard something the other day.
You do have to put in the work. That's the problem with manifestation. You have to put the work in to do it, to make it happen.
Some people say that you don't really have to do any work.
Yeah, those people are retarded, and they're making money off of people that are also retarded that believe.
But I think
them.
you have to.
Because
you have to take. You have to take action. I don't think anybody denies that part.
Yeah,
manifestation. Depending on which step you're on, does require action.
Yeah, well, because it's a matter of if you're thinking about something, like obsessing about something, you are manifesting that thing because you are actually going to go, like for example, like
well, you're playing it in your mind.
And eventually it's going to get to the point where if you're truly obsessed, you're not like a psychopath, and you're just like, oh, I'm going to manifest this into reality. That's a psychopath. But if you're truly, because you're not taking action. Like you're oblivious to the way that things actually work, because it's kind of like let's go back to the airplane scenario here, right? The oxygen mask has fallen. I'm going to manifest that mask attaches to my face and seals properly, and then I'm also going to manifest myself helping all these people. It's like, no, that's not going to happen. It's just impossible. Like, it's not how manifestation works. So you're a psychopath if that's the way you're doing the manifestation thing.
Interesting.
Because if you think about, like, those videos that tell you manifestation and these people that are telling you these things, right? They had to put the effort into making that video to get it out there, which means they've already proven that version of what they're talking about to be false. So it's like, but if you're, what is it, South Park, 1/4 of the population is retarded. So if you're the 1/4, you're going to be watching that. And if 1/4 of the population is actually retarded, that's a lot of people. And so that's a lot of potential money there. So therefore you're essentially an evangelist. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're that level of like deceit because you're either psychotic yourself and you truly believe that this is the case, and you don't realize the connection of what you just did in video negates everything you're talking about, or you're doing it on purpose to make money. And neither one of those is good. Because you're just taking advantage
what's wrong with that?
Well, I mean, it's
nothing wrong with making money.
I agree. To be honest, if people are willing to pay for it, then fuck it. Go out there and do it.
Right. You got to have the freedom to let people do that.
Yeah. That being said, don't. I think what would make it bad is if you would dog other people for any opposing views. I think that would be the wrong way to do it. But if you're not doing that, and you're if you're making people happy, okay, I'm okay for that. But if you're also like being an asshole to anyone else, then okay, now you're doing the wrong thing. But if you're making people happy, fine. Fuck it. Because some of those evangelists, like, they absolutely make people happy, but they're assholes about like other shit. And it's like, okay, well, now I don't appreciate what you're doing. You're definitely just taking advantage of people.
Like Joel Osteen.
Yeah, exactly. It's like these people need a place to stay because, like, natural disaster just demolished everything. Nah, I'm good. Yeah. I just got new carpet in there. Nah. Like,
well, he is kind of right, but
exactly. That's actually kind of interesting for that one. But it is also kind of like, what is your message? You know what I mean? And so, you know, if your message is helping people and doing this, then okay, now you've shown that you're not actually doing that. You know what I mean?
Well, it turns into a madhouse.
No, I totally understand what, like, why he would say no.
You have a mega church.
Yeah.
Well, number one, if he turns his church into a shelter, he can not have church the same way on Sunday.
Yeah.
And think about this. His patrons are probably also, a lot of them are pretty, I'm going to guess they're pretty wealthy.
Oh, they have to be.
They will not
like $4,000 for a ticket.
They will not show up if they know there's homeless people camping out in the church. Yeah. You know, some of them won't. But we won't
even talk about the, you know, the color of their skin on that one.
Yeah. What do you mean? Like, I don't see color.
Well, we don't. But I think maybe some of those people do.
Yeah. God made people. I mean, if you believe that, God made people with different skin colors. So absolutely, God sees color. Now, why do you think that happened? Why do you think there's different colors?
I guess here's probably the better answer for that. It's like, of course I see color, and I like all of them.
Well, yeah. I don't see why
exotic women are beautiful.
Yeah, but if you're any color, red, yellow, black, and white, and you're doing something that bothers me or hurts me or is negative, then it doesn't matter what your color is. What you're doing is pushing me away, essentially.
Yeah. But then, I guess that's kind of where I'm going with that, is like, if the things that you're doing don't match your message, that's where I feel like, you know, you're definitely taking advantage of people, but, you know, it's like, you should be monetized if you actually are genuinely helping people, and you're not being an asshole about it. You're just like, yeah, you know, there's a lot of people to disagree with this, but this is what I think is going to help you the most, right? Okay, great, do that. I'm okay with that. But but I guess woke culture would be the good example of the what not to do. Like,
yeah, because that hurts everybody. That pretends to help some people, and it really kind of restricts the freedom of others. So it's not helping everybody. You may argue there's really nothing that's going to help everybody all the time.
Well, no, I don't think you can even argue that. I think that's just that's like the law of like physics, essentially. Like that's just the way that it's gonna be, no matter what you do. So, you know, I think the exception would be if everybody was in the right mental state, like 100% of the time. Maybe it's possible, but like there's too many factors. It's never gonna happen. The best you can do.
We don't live in a world like that right now.
Yeah.
Because people talk about, we need to get rid of guns and violence and all. Well, if everybody grew up happy and healthy and sane and the perfect environment, then
if they had these 6 things here on the screen,
that type of world could exist.
Yeah.
Where we don't even have a memory of violence or racism or whatever, or inequality, or pick your whatever.
Well, so, I mean, that goes right into these 6 things that we're talking about here. If you don't have these, you know, at least in part, you're not going to be able to fix any of these things. You're not going to be able to get healthy. You're not going to be able to. I guess we'll talk about exercise next time. But
what?
Well, because I think we're on a pretty good roll here with the diet.
What hour are we on now?
I think we're hour and a half probably.
Oh, there's plenty of time. We got another hour and a half to talk about exercise.
Yeah, but we might not get to it, so we might have to talk about that later. But yeah, like if you're not, I guess if you're not actively trying to achieve these things, is probably the better way to say that. You're definitely just never going to get anywhere. Now you don't have to do these like a checklist or anything. You just have to, like, what falls into these categories that if you go back to the previous episode, what's on your list of things that you need to get done, and do they fit in this category? You're doing those pretty regularly. That means your room is clean, as Jordan Peterson says, which means now you can go outward and do other things. So maybe what are your goals? What do you want to How do you want to help people if that's something you want to do? So
how do you want to contribute?
yeah, there you go. How do you want to contribute? Right, the last one there. That might be down the road. You might not even, because I think that's a trap that people fall into as well. And I think that's where you get into the dreamer problem. So we were talking about manifestation, right? So you get into manifestation dreamer mode where you don't do anything, and it's you're essentially you're dreaming outside of your possibility in the sense of right now. It's still a possibility like in the future, which is why you're still thinking about it, but it's not a possibility now because you need to clean your room. You need to get your foundations done.
First things first.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem is it's so great to imagine those things and like you know, like, oh, it'd be so great to have that life, and if I did, and then you start planning that life, but you're not there yet. You're at rock bottom, right? Like you're just, you know, stumbling up from the ground, and you got to clean your sheets, and like you got to do those things first. And I think that's you're not at contribution yet. You're not at growth yet. You're not at connection and love. You're at certainty.
You still need certainty. You need certainty that your room's clean.
And
whatever.
And then everything else is uncertainty at that point. So that's why it's really interesting, right?
Variety.
I think that's you know, because I'm a procrastinator. It's like no, you're a dreamer. You're stuck in uncertainty, which means you don't have any certainty at all, which is why you're stuck there. And I was there for a really long fucking time, like I don't know, 35, 40 years. Yeah, just dreaming.
Uncertainty, huh?
Yeah. Well, you know, I was always a dreamer, just like always thinking about you know, movies and stuff like that. But like I was talking about with in the previous episode, like not the last one, but when I was talking about the darkness, when they did the AI music video, and like a lot of people were upset that they didn't make a real one. A real music video, so they used AI instead. Yeah, and I was like, I was like, you have to realize, one, like monetary wise, like, it's really expensive to do that. But two, like to get the people together, like if you ever tried to accomplish like you have a vision for this like massive project, and to get people on board, like maybe you'll get them at the start, but to get them to finish that project is impossible, like without like monetarily paying them, or like them also having the dream. So, you know, you have a bunch of friends get together, make a movie, right? They all have to be equally invested in like how awesome that would be. But if they're not, and you're just getting your friends together, you're never going to make that movie. Like it's not going to happen. Like just gathering people and getting them to do stuff is way harder than you think until you try. And so that's why I think like
you're herding cats. Yeah, we get everybody on the same page.
It's impossible.
Timeliness.
And then you know, and then when you do things, like they do it half-ass, or they do it in a way that like, you know, it's like, let's say you're making something funny, they go over the top funny, and it's like that's not the direction, man. Like you know, it's like you gotta be smart funny down here, like like deliver the line like this.
And like, try it again.
It's just like you know, it's hard to, I guess what I'm getting at with that is it's hard to manifest your thing, because, and this is why you get stuck in the dream. It's so fantastic, right? So fantastical, mystical, that it's hard to put that into words. So it's kind of on the concept of you need to show, not tell, right? And the only way that you can do that is to do it yourself. I guess kind of where that goes, right? And until you realize that, you'll be a dreamer. Like you'll think about, oh, if I just got all these people together. It's like, no, you just need to do the thing. So that's why, like, I started the YouTube channel, not this one, the other one, is because I don't need anybody else. I can do all the editing. I can do everything myself. I can do the voices. I can do everything on there, and I don't need anybody. And then you know, this gives me an opportunity to talk to people and maybe, you know, help people that way as well. But it's one-on-one. That's a lot easier to maintain than trying to get like an editor and a script writer and a voice actor. And it's like that's a lot of work. And essentially you're just gonna have to pay people. And if you're at $0, then just start a YouTube channel instead. Do it solo. And then work on ways that you can minimize the amount of work that you do. So every time I make a video, I'm like, how can I do less work to make these? So I start making templates. I start making all these different things. Now sometimes that takes a really long time to put together. So there's a template that I've been trying to put together, and it's taking me so long that I'm not doing it. I kind of did it for the live version where I can do like the hard-on thing like that, but that took a lot of work to put that together to make that work, because it's not just about the you don't have a clear vision, you know what I mean? Like a lot of the times, it's more so you in your soul have a clear vision, but you're not quite, you don't have all the kinks worked out, and you have to actually put it into practice to get those kinks worked out. So where my first video that I did it's clear that was the first one. And then there was significant change into the second one, like the quality of everything. And then there's even more changes when I got to the third one. So it's like every time I'm trying to make it better and better and better, but also I'm trying to make it easier on myself so I can do it more often. And I think I have with the editing parts, but the writing is still the hard part. Like that's where I'm struggling with now, is the motivation to stay on target and get the script done, because all the other stuff is essentially, that goes back to that being bored, right? So the writing is the most boring part. Because I know once I get to the editing, that's pretty fast, pretty involved, and it's I don't have time to be bored. But the writing, you have time to be bored.
What is it? Is it always boring to write, or is there ever an exciting period where you're like, hey, I'm really excited to write this?
That's a great point. And that comes after you start writing.
Oh, okay. So you got to just you
have to barrel through, like, and
it's through the boredom.
Yeah, and you have to also know your limit. So basically the way that I start my scripts for those is I basically have like a little 2-sentence thing or a paragraph of like, here's what the idea overall would be, and then I slowly start piecing that together, and I try to do it like not necessarily linear but sectional. So I try to do the hot ladies part as one thing, and then start working on the other things, and then eventually I'm able to connect them all together, so there's like a cohesive story throughout the whole thing. So even though it's like, it doesn't seem like it, there is a storyline for all of those videos. There you go, there's like a beginning, middle and end to all those. Even though it's kind of like not really the way that it looks like, it's definitely sectional, but I'm not just writing funny stuff. I'm trying to actually like make it a cohesive story in the joke, essentially. But so it starts off with like little chunks, and then I come back to it, and then eventually I have like a full-on editing stage where it's just like working out the kinks and deleting things that don't make sense anymore, because there's a lot of jokes that I have to just get rid of, because I find them hilarious, but they just don't match anymore, like by the time I finish. And it's just like, that's not, it's funny on its own, but not together anymore, because now that I have this cohesive story, it just doesn't fit. So I think that's probably like, I don't want to do the editing of the writing. Essentially, it's kind of, it's fun writing down funny ideas. It's like, that's funny, but like putting them all together cohesively that's the hard part. That's the boring part.
Do people ever just use a formula for that?
Yeah, there is. So you like story writing in general. There's, I think the hero's journey is always a good route to go in. I think just statistically it's successful. Which is why they also say, like, for your life, you'll be the hero of your own journey or story. Yeah, because it's true. Like that's what we relate to.
Who said that?
Joe Rogan, but he
Joe
got it from
Rogan said it on his podcast.
Got it from somebody else. I can't remember who he got it from, but
was that? Oh man, what's his name? That special forces guy.
No, he didn't get it from Jocko. He got it from
Jocko. Yeah.
The art of The War of Art. What was that guy's name?
The Art of War. Sun Tzu.
No, it's the War of Art. Stephen Pressfield. I think maybe that's where you got it from. I'm not 100%, but that's a great book actually. I'm actually I need to do a top 5, top 10 book list of like to get your shit together. But that's a good one. Let me see if I can pull it up here. But yeah, so I think you definitely doing a formula is really good place to start. I think what happens with formulaic stuff is you don't do it. Let me try to get like a picture of this. You don't do it in a way that's like interesting. Like people fall into the trap of just like making a formula. And not making an interesting formula. Or interesting story out of the said story formula.
Boy contemptible at first.
Yeah.
Then they fall in love. There's some tension.
Here you go. This is on Amazon. War of Art.
The War of Art. Yeah. Not to be confused with the other one.
Yeah, which is also a good book as well. But I think
it's good.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to be in my top 10 of to get your shit together books. I think that's more of a philosophical.
No, that's the high level.
Yeah, you're
talking about people getting their shit together.
Yeah, we're at the listening to Les Brown level.
Easy to understand.
The Art of War is when you're at the Tony Robbins level.
Oh yeah, that's a book you can read and reread and still find wisdom.
But yeah, this one's a really good one. So this is so basically breaking through your blockage that you go through. So that's kind of what this one's about, because he talks about resistance. That's what Joe Rogan's always talking about, right? So that's what this book is about. So I think that's where he got that from, was from him. But yeah, so for what I've got going on, so on the formula thing, I find it really useful because I've essentially made my own formula. So one with the letters, like spelling out certain categories, but like how, like the certain words that I use. So for example, are there any hot ladies? And that's always there, right? Like, so that's a formula.
Yeah.
Right. And
has to be.
And for me, it's always funny. Every time I say it, I laugh, right? Like I have to stop recording after that every time.
Really?
Yeah. It's like, it's like I need to record myself like in the studio, like, well, I guess in the same room here, cause it's all now the studio. But it's like the way that goes, like, cause there's a lot of recordings that are completely not the right voice, and it's just me fucking around. And that's the same thing like when I did music stuff. It's like I never really like wrote lyrics all that much. I just kind of like got the music going and then just kind of like rambled until I got something. And I kind of do that at least with the not the, because I had the script there, but like the way that I say it is, so whether that be the tone or maybe I change the words a little bit, that all happens in the studio. So that's like the and that's why that's like the fun part, is because it's really fun to be like recording that, and like when you fuck up and you're like, or it's like when you get a really good one and then you're like, I need to do it one more time, and then you get the even better one. Like that's
even better.
Yeah, like because you're like it's almost there, but you can like. And nobody hears that stuff. Nobody knows that's what's going on before, because they just hear the final product.
That's how you got there.
Yeah.
The process.
And that's why I really like the YouTube thing, especially for like, if you're somebody that's trying to, like we're talking about diet, like if you're trying to overcome a lot of those things, I think that's a good mental like strategy to like just crack open that egg of like what's the problem, the actual problem for you, because you're going to learn so much about like how to break through those things. And like for example, we've got we're obviously watching this stream on our devices, but with supposedly there's one other person. I don't know if you're in the chat, say something, but like this is essentially how my videos go every time. There's like one guy maybe that watches it.
Yeah.
And then I'll post it and there'll be like one guy that watches it. And it's like, you know, that's pretty demoralizing, right? Like, or it could be.
You think.
But like,
you could choose to think that.
yeah, exactly. But like the fact that it's like, I'm just going to keep making videos. Like it's not, it hits you less and less the longer you keep going.
Yeah.
And that's what I find with like dieting, exercise, whatever is trying to stop you will hit you less and less the longer you keep going. And even with the jiu-jitsu stuff, it was literally every single time. But every single time I just like grabbed my bag, went out the door. And one of the ways that I did that was I would already have my bag pre-packed like the day before. Or actually even class, like the day after. So I go to class and I wash my gi, and then the next day I would fold the gi up and put it in the bag ready to go. And then all I had to do is grab that bag and go out the door. And you know, having that already set up, like I've already done the routine of putting it in the bag, and now my mind's like, okay, well, it's already there. Like, just got to go. That's it. And so, like, even though I'm having that fight every night, like, it's just, you know, now imagine if I was going to jiu-jitsu every day of the week, that wouldn't be a fight anymore. You know, it might be a slight in the back of my head, but it really wouldn't be a struggle anymore because I'm going every day. So it's like the more often and longer that you do something, the less that those blocks get there. So it's kind of like you know, when you get distracted and you're trying to do stuff, you get like, oh yeah, I got to go do that thing. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, but I should definitely go turn off that light in the kitchen first. And then that leads to like, I need to wash these dishes. And then next thing you know, you didn't do the thing that you're initially planning on doing. You know, that's not necessarily like just you getting distracted. That is the procrastination working. Like those are things that you should be doing. And it's like I think what might be happening, I'm not a scientist or anything, but I feel like this might be right, is like, so for example, I want to go to the gym, right? That's definitely something I should be doing. But all of a sudden, when it comes time to go to the gym, I'm like, oh, but I have to do laundry. I have to do this. I have to do, and then I start doing those things because I'm like, oh, I have some time. I can get them started. And by the time I get back, I can put them in the dryer. And then next thing you know, I don't go to the gym. But I think what's really happening is like you've gotten to the point where you're like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym, and your mind has switched on to active like do mode. And because like now that that's on, it's like, okay, what are all the things that we need to do? You know, and it's like, because you kind of made a decision, but you haven't walked out the door yet. So your mind's like, oh, it's action time. And it's like, all right, what do we need to do? And then so now you do all these incidental tasks that sure do need to get done. It's just they're not priority. And it's just a matter of, I think that's what's happening is like the floodgate has opened because you've actually made the decision to act. Versus manifesting, right? You're not dreaming of the gym. You're actually doing
that word again.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that kind of circling back around to manifestation, I think that's if it's the dreamer version, which people get stuck in, like which is where I was. You know, it's like, oh, I'd love to write the book. I'd love to do the thing, and it's like, well, if you're not already doing the thing, then you're like at least like doing the steps to do the thing, you're never going to do the thing. It's just never going to, you're manifesting. You're not acting. And that's why I don't think manifestation is it's a good start because it does give you the ideas. But you have to have enough clarity to get out of that phase. That was a long way around to get to that point.
They're like, oh, you got to become a person. Like if you imagine, I don't know, pick something like say you're like you imagine yourself with 6-pack abs and like you're in the gym or whatever. It's like well, you can't just sit there and want those things. The act of wanting tells the universe that you already don't have it.
Yeah. Well,
you have to become that, or you have to be that.
Well, I think
in a way that means you actually go to the gym.
Well, I think
start working out.
I think it actually just boils down to because that's actually a good point because you know in that sense of manifestation, I think the actual problem there is not the manifestation part. The actual problem is the manifestation part has actually done you a favor. It's almost the procrastination, right? So that's why I think of them almost as like the same thing. Like manifestation is really just procrastination, because you can't procrastinate on anything unless you think about it, right? Like that's impossible. If you don't know it's a thing, you're not procrastinating on it, right? You only procrastinate on things that you know that you should be doing. So like it's kind of, I think it might be the same thing as manifestation, because you're thinking about it, right? You're manifesting this idea. But I think what the problem is what that's actually given you is, if you go to like how you actually get tasks done, like what we've been talking about, is here's the thing, and then you work backwards. Like, okay, well, how do I get to this thing, right? And I think that's rather than imagining, oh, I'm a guy with 6-pack abs. You're not. That's the wrong way to think about it. Is how does a guy get 6-pack abs? Oh, okay, well, they go to the gym every day. Okay, well, I'm a guy that goes to the gym every day. Okay, well, you're not. Okay, well, what does it take for a guy to go to the gym every day? And then, keep working backwards from that until you get to a point where you're like, oh, I am that guy. Okay, I can do that thing. Right.
Yeah. How do you go from zero to hero?
Yeah. And I think
because a lot of the people say manifestation is you imagine the feeling of being in the position of whatever you want to be or whatever. It's like, well, sometimes you don't really know what that would even feel like.
Yeah.
You're just guessing.
Yeah. And so I think that's you have to keep working, because I've started on this idea of like, you keep asking, like why questions or how questions, or no, why questions, until you get to a how answer, like a how question that you can actually answer, like you can actually do. Like, okay, why do I want to do this? Because I feel, I feel like I'm fat, right? Or I feel fat, right? I don't like the way that I look. Okay, so how do I fix that? Okay, I'm not willing to do that. Okay, well, why am I not willing to do that? Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, how do I address that? And then you keep going until you get to a how that you're willing to actually do.
Well, okay, so you're saying the formula or that process is why, how.
Until you reach a how that you will do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't I have 6-pack abs? Well,
because I'm a fat fuck. Like, okay, why am I a fat fuck?
I don't have 10% body fat. How do I achieve that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So
why don't I know?
Yeah. And so essentially it's a lot more why questions and then eventually a how question, but you could have a how in there. And then if you don't want to do that how, then you got to keep asking why until you get to one that you are actually willing to do. And so that's, so like kind of like that's how you go from 0 to 100 is you need to know where when you know where 100 is, right? Like that's the manifestation, that's the procrastination, that's the dream. But you need to know where 0 is, like, and you need to know if you actually are at 0, because you might not be, right? So there's a lot of like overweight people that are doing the right thing. They're going for walks, right? They're not at 0, right? Yeah. That's a person that's at a number. They're not actually at 0. Now they need to maintain that, and that's going to be kind of a struggle. But they also need to realize that they're not at 0 actually.
A lot of people will probably figure out they're not at rock bottom, because once you start tracking everything, you can finally see that. Yeah.
Well, and it's like when you are at 0, you're almost aside from like going off the like official deep end and like into nothing, like you're almost immediately at like 0.1 when you realize you've hit the bottom. And what I mean is like you're ready for change. And it's kind of it's interesting because that is the bottom, is there's nowhere else to fall. Like you can't get any worse. And so therefore, because you've hit bottom, you kind of like bounced a little, and you're actually at like 0.05 or something. So you're not really at 0 at that point either. But you're definitely pretty low, and your why is going to be, or your how is going to be really simple things. So I think there, like, if you talk to or you listen to anything about like depressed people, the thing that comes up a lot is like not taking showers is something that's pretty commn.
Oh shoot, I must be depressed. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a lot of men in general, right?
I haven't showered all week.
Being an FTX.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like
depressed people in the army.
I think it was a couple of weeks, man. Like where it was just baby wipes. I think that was like the longest.
Yeah, you said you were in the field for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Woo.
It was in, I think, Hohenfels, maybe.
Dude,
I'm pretty sure it was Hohenfels.
That'd be rough.
Yeah.
Coming back from that. Oh.
Yeah, it was around that time, around 2 weeks. It might have been longer, might have been a couple days shorter, but it was pretty close to 2 weeks. But yeah, it was ripe. It was so bad. But you know, you got your little soap thing and your baby wipes, but there's only so much you can do with that because you know, you don't necessarily have like unlimited water, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're literally trying to live with what you got. But
that is good. I think that's good for people to go through.
Yeah, I thought it was
those that
like,
have gone through the military training. It's like, I mean, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to be pulled from those experiences.
Because at bare minimum, you're gonna get like 3 days, right, without showering, and like living off what you got, right? Like bare minimum,
right?
Everybody goes through that.
Yeah.
And you know what? The funny thing was like it was like my clothes were starched. They were so like hardened. Dude, it was so bad.
You did not starch them though?
No, this is like field clothes. So like
field
right. BDUs. Yeah.
Have starched those.
Yeah. So
you should not have.
Yeah. Dude, it was bad. Yeah. I remember like I went into, because it was like I was like on the way from like the motor pool to my room was like the little mini PX was there, and because this is on Leadwood Barracks, which is kind of small, in
you were in the field now?
No, it's when we got back. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, when we got back.
There was a mini PX near your barracks, I guess.
Yeah. So, but we kind of like just went from the field back home, essentially. And I remember going in there and I was like, man, I can smell myself. It's like so bad right now. Like, it's like, and I was like, but you know, it was like in between. So I was like, oh, I'm going to stop here. And I shouldn't have done that. Should have just went home first.
Oh yeah. You had to get your whatever you got.
Yeah, but it wasn't until I got in there that I realized like how bad it was.
I'll have to crank one out here on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely.
To the no, I'm just kidding. I'm getting bored. What do I do when I get bored? I'm just kidding.
Just you gotta masturbate. Yeah.
Yeah, thinking about military days in the field.
Now I will say sometimes you gotta clear your head though. Pun intended.
Yeah. Hey-o.
But yeah, I think that's just one of those things like you gotta know where zero is, or at least like where you are from 0 to 100.
Well,
to get started.
How do you know? And zero is different for different people, right? Because everybody has their own standard. Everybody has their own lifestyle.
Yeah,
everybody has their own parameters.
I definitely think I think everybody has their. I think everybody has their line, and that line is different. But I don't think the 0 to 100 is very different. Meaning like there's always a nothing and there's always a end goal, right? So if everybody had the same goal of becoming a millionaire, the $1 million doesn't change for any one of those people. The 0 doesn't change for any one of those people. Where their line is when they're willing to start on that journey does change. And also where the line of like where they actually are, meaning do they have some money, that also changes. But the actual 0 to 100 doesn't change at all. I don't think. So, and I think that makes it a lot easier to, that should relieve some stress if everybody's out there listening, you know, like, and thinking about that is like, I think that should relieve some stress is like, now you know the parameters. Like if you know what the goal is, like the actual goal, like it's a solidified, not like a vague goal. It's like a real specific one. I think that's why money is really easy to do that. Like $1 million, like that's easy.
Oh, sure.
You can, there's no difference you can make there. Like that's all it is.
Why stop at $1 million? I mean, this day and age, you might argue you can't even buy some houses for $1 million.
Yeah.
So how are you going to set up your lifestyle, your rich and famous lifestyle with $1 million bucks? It's like, it's impossible.
Well, you know, so that's another part of the why thing. So the why can go into like, so why do I want $1 million? No, well, that goes back to those 6 things that we looked at, right?
It boils down to the ego. Like, why exactly? Why do you want it? And then it's basically so you feel like you're good enough.
Yeah. Well, let's.
And you feel like people will love you.
Well, I'm going to pull up the why it really should be a reason is it falls under these 6 categories, right?
What? Well, here's another thing that Tony Robbins will say.
It's definitely certainty, right?
I'm saying Tony Robbins because I've read a lot of his stuff years ago. He says everything boils down to 2 things: either you're not loved or you're not good enough. Like, and that would be like, why is it that you're striving for a certain type of thing? And there's maybe the standard that you set for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you say, hey, I want to provide for my family. I want a good life for my kids. I want to live in a certain neighborhood so they grow up next to the school where we want to send them, or a private school, and they can make friends that are the certain type of friends that they'll later on have connections in business and life, etc. You know, that's why they go to college, so you can be around like-minded people, etc. So, you know, and you could say, well, you know, that person is looking for definitely certainty there. You know, some people don't go to that extreme, and some people are okay with not being at that level. You know.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why, like,
maybe they feel trapped where they are.
Yeah, but I think that's why, like, you there's one, you're probably not at 0. Like, and if you are, you're already on the way up, like you're bouncing back up.
Well, if you have a roof over your head, you're probably not at 0.
Yeah, exactly.
If you have food to eat, and if you're fat, then you probably are good, because you definitely, food is not an issue.
Yeah. No, but that might be for like your necessities, but as far as like whatever your goal is, you might be at 0 for that. Like if your goal is to write a novel, but you haven't actually wrote down any of your ideas, you're officially at 0. Like
I know someone like that.
Yeah, did you too?
I know someone who's been wanting to write a book about the Middle East, and he has yet to put pen to paper.
Which is why I refuse to help him. If he's out there listening.
If you're listening, brother.
Yeah, if you're that one guy. Yeah,
start recording. Well, I mean, the easiest thing he could do, I'm just thinking out loud, is like he could just buy or get a record. I mean, you have one on your phone. Start recording sound bites.
And now you have AI that can type it out for you.
So. As you have thoughts, it'll dictate it, and then put it on paper, and then, I mean, you can start organizing and editing that.
Yeah. Because it's like, well, one, it's like reading books is really helpful to write a book, and then writing badly and editing those things to make them better is also really important for writing. Is because like what a lot of people don't realize about like writing, this goes for scripts or books or whatever, is it's a data dump initially. The editing is actually where, like, the first stage of editing, for example, would be like where a lot of good ideas come from, because it's like you're starting to connect dots at that point. And then the next couple stages, you might still have a little bit of that, and then there's a glossing stage where you're just really making it as perfect as it could be, as far as like the words that you're using, the sentence structures, like the structures as a whole. You're really like laying all that stuff out, so they're, if you're not willing to get through that edit, like to the editing of any kind stage, like draft 1 copy and then go to draft 2, like you're actually losing a lot of like really good ideas that you wouldn't get if you just try to data dump one draft and call it a day. Like that's you getting out of manifestation mode and into action mode, but you're still not doing anything yet. You know. That's why I was talking about it earlier. Like the fun part of writing doesn't happen until after you start writing, and it's because you have to do that initial. Because even though if I'm doing editing, that first like I say it can range anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes of where I'm doing more of a data dump editing, where it's like it's mindless, it's not fun, and then eventually I get a breakthrough, and it's like okay, now it's getting fun, and then now it's like an hour and a half later, but it's like I gotta get through that first like data dump version of it.
And that's not very fun.
No, and that's why
data dump because it's not a finished product, I guess.
Yeah, and you know that going into it, which is also part of the problem. And I think that's why
it's just boring. Yeah, these are just words.
That's why I think masturbation's more fun. And manifestation is more fun because it's you're dreaming, so things are in manifestation mode. Everything's great. You're seeing everything fleshed out. But that's not the way that it works when you actually try to put it in practice. So it's like the iPhone is the aftermath of lots of getting out of manifestation mode.
So you think people should put their phones down for a certain part of the day?
Well, I mean, yeah,
focus on
also,
something
but
else.
They wouldn't be able to use that phone if it wasn't for, Steve Jobs and Wozniak or whatever his name is if they didn't get out of manifestation mode. Like
Wozniak. Yeah, well, they took action. Yeah, you have to conceptualize it first, right?
And then,
what vision.
Yeah. And we're on like iPhone 16, 18, whatever now, which means that they've edited quite a bit. So it's the same concept as like writing. So it's like you need to edit.
Well, I mean, some people, I agree with them. Like there's not much progress. There's been some, but not a major progress in the last, since probably the iPhone 12 or 13, 12.
Yeah, I'd say.
So 13, 14, 15, 16, we're on four later, and it's like the camera's better. Yeah. The screen doesn't have the window at the top as much. It's a smaller window. It's like these are little tiny things.
Well, that's where you get into over editing, which is definitely
they
a thing.
Manage to release a new phone every year. It's like that's kind of like,
which is too soon.
People's attention span is really short.
Well, it's also not enough time for you to make advancements. So, well, not saying that they don't, but like significant ones where. When you go from like, I don't know, probably like a remastered movie might be a good example. So it's the same movie, but they've enhanced the quality of the video or something, or they went back and adjusted the audio where now you can actually hear the people talking versus the explosions, right? Like, something like that, that's a significant change. But if they're doing that like one line of dialogue at a time, and release that every year, that's not as significant. And it's like eventually your return of that investment as a consumer, it's like, what are you actually buying now? Like you're buying the novelty of the product, not the advancement of the product.
Yeah, what's the next big thing? I think they're talking about a thinner phone, like a really thin one, or one that folds or something, but
which that's a big deal though. That's a big change. Great.
China already has those, right? They've had them for years.
Well, yeah, I've seen somebody really with a phone that folded in half. Like,
but we're not really getting those here, right?
I think there's one phone on the market.
The market's not ready.
Actually, it's probably a Huawei. Wawa or whatever.
Huawei, yeah.
And those aren't allowed here anymore.
Didn't Trump put an end to that?
To be honest, with good reason. Because if what they were saying was true, like, and it probably was, because all of our companies are doing the same thing.
Yeah, I kind of was expecting a little more once people woke up to the fact that every company is harvesting your data
Yeah, yeah.
and collecting on you. Well, essentially, so what do you think of this? You were an analyst at one point,
Hmm.
and we're not
An
supposed to collect on
analyst.
US persons. Yeah, you were an analyst and an analyst.
Hmm.
So we're not supposed to collect on US persons, right? Using the training the government provides.
Hmm.
But if you're Facebook or T-Mobile or any of these, then you absolutely can collect on US persons. And somehow you're allowed to collect pattern of life data,
Well, yeah. Well, it's
which
not
is absolutely
it's not some.
should be against the rules unless I missed something.
Yes, it should be. The problem is we all agree when we
Yeah, I
hit
know.
that agree button.
We all said, sure,
Like
take whatever you want
yeah, like
for free.
that South Park episode where it's
There's
like,
no way to monetize that.
did you see that
How
one
do we
with
get reimbursed?
the Sentai pad,
I don't remember.
the human Sentai pad?
Oh,
It was like
yeah, I saw that
everybody
one.
was reading the terms and conditions like really thoroughly, except for the three people that got attached together to the iPad.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you didn't read the terms and conditions. It's like, have you seen that thing?
Yeah. I remember seeing that part.
But it's kind of like, that's just basically a joke on like, we're all complaining about it, but we all signed up for it. So like,
Mm. Yeah, that was
but
gross.
but another thing that I think, which is funny that show highlights, is that in that episode they have options to click no for some of the things that are on there. We don't have that option, and I think that there's a lot of stuff that happens on South Park that just gets missed, and I think that's one of them. It's like they're almost giving the companies the path to that not being a moral problem. It's like, just allow people to click no on whatever they don't agree with.
It's either you don't use the product or you have to say yes.
Yeah.
There's no using it without.
Yeah.
And that's interesting.
Mhm.
Again, I don't know if this is a legal thing that they said, hey, we got to figure this out early because we can't give an option to say no, because as soon as they say no, then
it's
we
definitely,
just don't even want that.
yeah.
We'll lose money. So let's force them to only have one option, which is either use it or lose it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I had this like, not argument, but I always have this thought of like, if your singular product isn't there's definitely some argument with oh, well, how does the company sustain? Well, if you make good products then that's how you sustain. But if you have to add additional things to said product, that's what other companies are for, right? You don't need to make the accessories. You just need to make the good enough product that people buy to make those accessories. So for example, like the iPhone, there's like a million different companies that make iPhone products. In reality, you really only need to make the iPhone. Like,
well, the cases sometimes, like the cases are Apple makes decent products and their quality is pretty high.
They do.
Then
like
you get all these third party stuff.
Like the headsets are really good, but it's like they don't need to go crazy, because if you look at their website, like, well, maybe not now, but back in the day, there really weren't that many accessories. There was kind of like a handful of things that were like, yeah, people are probably going to buy these kind of accessories, right? Like those adapters and like battery packs at the time, or whatever the case was. But it was definitely things that you would be really interested in getting. And then all those other little knickknacks they didn't really bother with, because it's like there's other companies doing it, right? And so like when you're a company at
Chinese
that level,
companies.
But when you're at that kind of level, like, and I think your life can be treated the same way. It's like you only need what you need, right? And if
that's deep.
Yeah, well, and if you feel that you need all these extra, like if you feel like you need to not just make the iPhone and make all of the accessories that you could possibly want for it, you've lost. You're bound to fail at that point. Like you've spread yourself too thin. You're not doing the bare necessity. You know, you it's okay to test, like kind of like throw something out there and see what happens. I think the iPhone in itself was probably a good example of you know, we think this will probably do really well. Let's see what happens. And it does really well. And then, all right, let's keep that going. But you know, you don't need to like make your own, like they clearly have a great idea of like what their cases should be like. So for example, like I've got the case that's also, it essentially makes the iPad a laptop. You know, it's like the high quality Apple keyboard, same size as
keyboard.
It's the same size as the keyboard that I use on my regular Mac. So like there's no change in that, right? And it's really high quality. Like but you know, that's something that everybody could use, right? But when you have like a waterproof case, that's not for everybody. There's no reason to make that. You know, like that. I think that's what I'm getting at. Is like there's things that everybody could use, which a keyboard case, absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, one that kind of like it stays in position as well, which is awesome. So it's not like I had to prop it up on anything. It just
stand. Yeah. Well, that case doubles. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can set it on my lap.
Apple makes a protective. Cover.
So I can set it on my lap and it doesn't fall over. You know, like I don't have to like. Because all those other cases, there's like a notch or something, and you try to fit in the notch, and if you're on an unlevel surface, it doesn't really work. Like, but with the Apple version, like you can put it anywhere, and it's perfectly fine. But like that, I think that's the example. Is like with your life, it's like you need the thing that works for you, not for everybody. So, which goes back to the make sure your mask is on, secured, and tight before you do anything.
True. That's the words to live by, huh?
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's essentially what I think will do it for us for the diet talk, and I think we definitely should do the exercise as its own thing now to kind of keep it.
We cover everything for the.
I think so, because it's really a matter of
the diet part.
Yeah, you know, figuring out. You know, what's the 100? What's the goal? You know, is it just to lose weight, or is it lose a specific amount of weight? Is it to can you specify it? Maybe 6-pack abs is the goal, and then working your way backwards to find out where you actually are on that scale from 0 to 100, and then you know, figuring out how you can actually make one step forward, and then eventually 2 steps, 3 steps, and so on.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on, brother.
That's all I have to say about that.
And manifest those 6-pack abs.
Yeah. You know, manifesting is great, but you got to write it down. If you write it down, you're out of manifesting mode. You're into action.
Taking action. Well, that's part of it too. If you watch videos on manifestation, they'll talk about pursuing your passion or whatever it is, but you got to take some sort of action towards your goal.
Yeah. Well, you know what
Tony Robbins would say, take massive action.
Yeah, massive action. Yeah.
Yeah, if you follow any of his training. You know,
I think a good rule of thumb to live by is if you're finding those videos like manifesting or, you know, whatever the fad is at the time, and you're finding those things and they resonate with you, great. But just go take a detour real quick and go see if any of the Hollywood actors are talking about it. And the answer is yes. You got to get out of the fucking way. You got to get out of there.
Ozempic? Oh my gosh.
You got to get the fuck out of there.
You got to tell the people they're gonna stay away from those drugs, Ozempic and all that.
Because it just reminded me of
not go down that road.
Yeah. So that's why I think you know, whatever you find that you feel like is going to work for you, just go down the side road and see if any of the Hollywood actors, not the good ones, not the ones that are like healthy already, but the ones that are just clearly got some, you know, retardation going. So Rachel Zegler comes to mind because she was like, "Keep manifesting, y'all." And if you hear so if you hear the thing that you're looking at as your source of freedom, and somebody like Rachel Zegler is talking about it, get the fuck out of there. You're not in the right place.
I think California is very spiritual anyway. There's probably a lot of yogis out there. There's a lot of yoga mats. There's a lot of like life coaches.
That's not spiritual though. That's a.
Are they?
That's a.
Here's the thing.
What do you call it? Self-serving.
You're looking for?
Yeah, they're not gonna have anybody's answers. Those are self-serving. Shit, I had the word. Jesus Christ. Self-serving scam artists. So they're scamming themselves, and in consequence, they're scamming everyone around them.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's just one of those things like if you're one with the thing that you're working with, I think like you're namaste or whatever they fucking say. Like if you're truly like one with that,
yeah, you got it.
Yeah, you're
nasty.
Nasty. But like you're kind of like what is the word? You're gravity. You're creating gravity, essentially, and you're creating gravity in a way that that's not you're not forcing things to happen for that, to get attached to be in that gravitational pull there. And I think like YouTube is a great example of that. Is you're just kind of throwing it out there, right? And it's so you've created gravity in this little mini planet that's a video, and then people can gravitate toward that as they find, but you're not like out there with the pitchfork and sign protesting. You know what I mean? Like you can protest on a video too, but if you're trying to do like there's a pretty good yoga one that I like from time to time, which is was it Yoga with Adriene or something like that? She's a pretty popular one, and it's basically like whatever you're looking for. My shoulder hurts. Okay, you type in Yoga with Adriene shoulder stretch or whatever, and then it'll be a 30-minute or an hour video, or however long that process takes, just specifically on that. And there's not really anything outside of it. It's just straight to the point. So that I feel like is a real yogi, right? Versus the ones that are like, also like activism, like in the message. So it's like within their yoga or whatever, like now you're getting into, or you're not practicing what you preach. So if you're, what's not yoga? What's a different thing that people do? Hippy dippy? Is that an old term? Yeah, but like people in that realm, right? Like, so they're, save the planet, but also, I'm still going to drive my car and go in airplanes and have a private jet, that kind of stuff.
Well, if you're a famous activist like Greta Thunberg,
oh man,
yeah, I think there was some people that might have uncovered some evidence that she's just kind of paid for by different organizations or corporations, just kind of floating around to different places. She's provided a camera crew and police interactions and news articles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
well, she's gonna need all that money.
They found a person to kind of be the face of environmental change for the youth of whatever. And it's like, that's what she's playing a role.
She's going to need all that money to pay for all that high blood pressure pills and whatever. Yeah. Because she's already the way she is now. Like, Jesus Christ, that's going to be a nightmare.
Well, I think people probably start out with good intentions.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Unless you think critically, unless you look at what's actually going on. But why pick on first world countries when third world countries are the ones polluting the environment the most,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. You know, like,
Well, I don't know enough about
don't
that to
yell at
say
me.
one way or the other.
Don't yell at me. I recycle and I throw
Yeah.
my trash in the bin.
Yeah.
So what more do you want me to do, you know?
Well, I mean that kind of goes along the lines of that's one of those people where like they're not spiritual, right? You know what I mean? Like they're clearly in the wrong mindset there, because they're not truly trying to help people. They're trying to scare people into doing something, which is not trying to help people. Right?
Well, that's another thing too, is pay attention to the message. Is it a fearful message? Is it a condemning? Is it a guilty message?
Yeah.
Well, you may not choose to listen to that stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just like doing things for, I think doing things for yourself, like in a way that is making you better, I think is probably the best place to be, just in general, because you're just, in consequence of doing that, you're going to do good for other people. Like that's just the way that it works. So it's like rather than to go back to like the yogi thing. So if you're a yogi and you're making videos, and like your videos are, okay, you want to work on your shoulder today, all right, let's get started, and then you're doing that, you're doing that because you like doing yoga, right? Because obviously you wouldn't be doing that, but you're also doing it in a way that you feel is going to be the most benefit for your people, right? And like not talking about a bunch of shit that doesn't make any sense. It's kind of like when people make a video and it just goes way off topic for like 10 minutes. It's like, I say, okay, so you're here to learn how to fix the manifold in your truck. So first we got to start with the history of trucks and where they came from. It's like,
oh yeah,
don't
like a blog post.
Yeah, it's like, do not do that. Like if your video is specifically on how to do something, it better start with, okay, so you're here to learn how to sew. All right, first you're gonna need this kind of needle. You're gonna need to take your thread and you're gonna need to put it in here. Like, get right to the thing. Like,
yeah,
I bring that up because I'm actually gonna make one of those how man sews videos.
I feel like this video's gotten off topic. We're supposed to be talking about diet.
But this is live. It's different. Doesn't matter. I know people are gonna say that. It's like, oh, but you're going off topic. It's like, fuck you, dude. Like I'm talking about like when you actually make a video. Like, this is live.
Well, yeah,
this is bound to go in multiple directions.
Pre-planned. There's no outline. There's no syllabus.
Yeah.
There's no.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
The practical exercises.
Yeah.
Which we could make a video like that. It's like, here's exactly what you can do.
Yeah.
Every day, track your food, go to the gym, do this, do that.
But that goes back to what I was saying. That's not going to be as fun for us. So we're going to take care of ourselves, and in consequence, we will entertain and give people something to look at.
I would be able, and I thought about this, but nobody really wants you to get into their life a lot. But because I've done the keto thing so much and fasting so much, and I've made a lot of mistakes, I definitely feel like I've spent enough time doing it over the past 6-7 years that I could be a kind of like an advisor or something to somebody and say, hey, may want to not do it that way, maybe try this way or whatever, because I'm not a doctor, right? But I'm not a registered dietitian.
Yeah.
And you could argue those people would probably not recommend you to fast anyway, or do a keto diet for that matter, because it's against conventional wisdom. But I mean, it's like, it's your choice,
Yeah.
But anyway, I talked to people that started a lot. There's a couple of people I talked to at work that have tried it, and they fail. They do it wrong. They fail, and then they never pick it up again, because that's how the process goes.
Yeah.
So it's really, it's difficult to even find the right information.
Yeah.
To get started anyway.
Well, that's why I think like so like YouTube is a good place to like get that stopping out of your head, because if you can't do something as simple as like, it literally takes nothing to post a video. It might not be any good, right? You can use your phone to make a video these days, right?
Yeah, yes, I could.
There's plenty of like really, really successful YouTubers that all they do is they're driving around in their car with their phone in the angle that I fucking hate. Like, stop making videos upright. Like, turn it to the side,
vertical.
you asshole. like,
well, that's where people are watching their phone, and
like,
how many
dude,
people
why buy the
watch-
like get a flip phone, man? Like, why waste the money on a smartphone if you're gonna watch this tiny screen? It's like, you know, I'm back to like iPods. Remember the little square screen that you had on an iPod? Like, it's like, I might as well use that. Like, the whole point of having this big ass phone is so I can turn it to the side and watch videos.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, that's why I fucking hate shorts. I hate them. Like, one, they're not that interesting. For one, is because people trying way too fucking hard, and they're not long enough for me to get interested. Like I need the girth, the length. I need it.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah. But
Well,
yeah.
people
So
that
go.
create those, I don't know if people realize they can rotate their phone. I had someone say to me one time because I posted a video. I posted a horizontal video on Instagram, and all you got to do is turn your phone to watch it. Well, people are used to watching vertically,
Oh yeah.
and they are so lazy they won't even turn the phone to the side to watch it.
Yeah.
Because I had someone tell me, "Oh, why don't you make your videos vertical?" It's like, I'm like, I was taking a landscape. Just turn your phone to the side, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like that was alien to them to even do
Yeah.
that or something. I don't know. It was odd.
That's why I can't do TikTok. I can't do Instagram. It's just like, it's not immersive enough. It's like, I can't do like, I pay extra on YouTube, like, to get premium, so I don't watch commercials, and that's what shorts and Instagram feel like to me. They feel like little commercials. It's like, oh my God.
They're putting advertisements in there a lot now.
Yeah, and well, that's the other thing too. Is like I'm paying, like, can't anytime that I can like afford to pay to not have all the bullshit. Like, I'm paying it. Like, like that's like, I will never not have YouTube Premium. Like, just period. And then like there are certain channels that have like this is another reason I like YouTube Premium is those channels, because I do understand like you put your advertisements because you're running a business essentially, right? But with YouTube Premium, when they have them in their videos, like embedded, you can fast forward those. Like, there's like, you click the screen and it'll say jump to the next scene essentially, and it just bypasses the commercial.
Have I seen that? I usually skip through it if they start talking about their sponsor.
Well, that's what you used to have to do, but now you can just click the screen like one time, like just tap it, and then it usually 9 times out of 10 it'll pop up with like a jump to next scene, and it'll just it'll, instead of like keep fast forwarding, like, because you have to keep tapping, you just fast forward it past that entire scene. So like Joe Rogan is a good example of that, where it does work. So like their AI essentially like knows that that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, oh good. And then it'll be long before you got to pay to skip those, huh?
Oh yeah, for sure. But for now,
yeah.
Well, I mean, it's gonna get to the point where like the only reason I have Hulu is because it came with the other things that I got as it was like $30 or something to get like Disney Plus, HBO Max, and Hulu.
Oh,
or something
really?
like that.
You paid 30 for all? Okay.
Yeah, and I
I did have HBO for like a couple months just to see a few shows.
Yeah.
Because I watched that show you recommended, Deadwood.
Oh yeah. What'd you think?
I liked it. I just thought towards the end things got a little weird.
Well, I think it's because
season or something.
Yeah, something happened with like they had to like stop the show essentially. So like either they got canceled or something, so they had to end it.
But yeah, the fact that guy, like, he had the brothel down the road, and he was like, always just drunk. But it's so funny because he was like drunk all the time and whoring, but then he was like pretty decent businessman, and he seemed to have like control of everybody, and he was fighting. I mean, the sheriff should have shot him a long time ago.
Yeah, right.
And then that Calamity Jane, man.
Oh yeah,
I hated that character.
Yeah.
that was one of those things where it's like, I just I don't know what it is about
Yeah.
certain characters, but they just drive me nuts. Like in Breaking Bad, Jesse's character,
Oh yeah.
I was like, this guy is such an idiot. Why does he deal with him? But like he does some things during the show that totally redeem himself.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he is useful in some
Yeah.
cases, but otherwise it's just like a dumbass drug addict,
Yeah. Yeah.
kid from the streets, and he's got
Just
problems and stuff.
banging like the toothless whore.
Or yeah, whatever. I don't even remember. I watched that like 10 years ago. But
But yeah,
yeah,
that's
it's
a
crazy.
like so it was kind of like one of those things like it was just is there like $15 like individually? And I was like, well,
Yeah,
I needed to cover some of those shows on there and
I need it.
so
Gotta
I was like,
have
well,
it.
I need one of them. I might as well get all the others. And now I've like uh I've got like a basically everything that's available is on there. So all the things that I would like to review, I have access to now. So
Really. Huh.
yeah, so
So Hulu Hulu has Seinfeld reruns, right? So I do remember
yeah, I think so. Yeah, the only thing I don't
wanting
have is
to
Netflix, but
watch that.
if I'm being honest, there's not really a draw over there for me right now. But
Yeah, I haven't had Netflix in like 5 years.
yeah, yeah,
Dude, I canceled that right after COVID. I remember watching Ozark before. That was like the last thing I watched on
yeah, it was okay, but then
Netflix.
it just kept getting like it was like a lesser Breaking
Ozark.
Bad, like
Well,
yeah,
they worked. Yeah, right. It's the same structure. They kind of worked their way up to the top,
yeah,
but I didn't see anything past season three, I
yeah. I
think, or
think
whatever.
that's about where I got, and there's some really good actors in there, but it was like it
Yeah.
was getting real annoying, like
Hmm.
you know.
Well, they had another character like Jesse, that chick, that girl,
Oh
like
yeah,
again, like troubled youth,
yeah, yeah,
really rebellious, defiant, but somehow they weasel their way into the process,
yeah,
and it's like,
yeah.
just why can't people be, you know, I don't
Well,
know.
that
I don't
literally.
know what it is about it that drives me crazy about those characters, but I just don't like watching them.
Well, it's because it's they're causing problems for this person, and it's like if they just got rid of that person, like, so it's kind of
Yeah,
like they need it for the drama, but like there's a different way to do
right.
that. Because I think the problem with the TV shows is if they have a successful season one, season two they add all these unnecessary characters, and then by the time you get to 3 and 4, you've got like 50 characters that you really don't give a
Yeah.
shit about, and it's like I just care about the two guys. Like
Yeah, that you've developed
yeah,
over
why
the
am
first
I
season.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like why am I wasting an entire episode not with those people? Like with these other people that I don't give a shit about. And that's
I get the characters can rotate in and out, but like
yeah, but
why
there's
adding and adding?
that Andor show
Hmm.
when
Oh
so
yeah.
they have quite a few characters, but you kind of see them all like throughout. So
Hmm.
they're not just thrown in there for the most part. Yeah, they're pretty established characters. But when you get into
Yeah.
the second season, the first like 3 episodes, it's clear somebody else wrote those. It is absolutely clear because there's an entire like village of people that in like later episodes you see the same exact scenario essentially of like there's a village of other people in the vicinity of the main characters, but they focus on the main characters. Like,
Was it a village
but
of
the
woke
village
trans
is a village of retards for
people?
sure. First like when so he gets like stuck on this planet and it goes nowhere. Like the
A
ship that he
village of
steals at the
retards.
beginning is not mentioned again. It's not it's not useful for the rest of the story after that. It's just there for that first couple like opening. The village, retards that he crash lands and they capture him. It's all useless because it's there to keep him out of the picture. So the other like the other half of the story of the other villagers who aren't idiots that are just in the background, and it focuses on these other main characters. It's so he can be separated from them the whole time. And it's like, and they do this for like 3 episodes. And it's like,
and then people realize, hey, what are you doing?
well, it really seems
You
like,
gotta rewrite.
well, it's because like it's really action packed in comparison to the rest of the show. And so it's clear like somebody else was involved in writing that to make it more action packed, and it was dumb as hell. And it was because it's like you could have not had any of that and just said and got right to the other characters and said like, oh, where's Andor? Oh, he's on a mission to get the what so and so, whatever the thing he was, he's getting the TIE fighter, and then that's it. That would have explained it. And then you don't have to talk about it ever again. Like it's done. And the rest of it was good enough that where like you wouldn't even give a shit. Like even though like the show is called Andor, like they've explained it great. These characters are great. Okay, let's go. It's like, why did you waste all these episodes? And like I hate it when that happens.
Andor is a character.
Yeah.
Not a planet.
No. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I haven't seen it, so
yeah, it's pretty good. Like
I just thought it was like a planet where they were on.
It's
planet of, and is it Andor or Endor? What was the other one?
Oh, Endor, yeah, is a thing too. Like that's a planet.
Oh, okay.
That's a planet. Yeah.
See, that's where I got confused.
But
Andor versus
it's
Endor.
I don't usually like
classic mistake. Anybody could have made that.
Well,
any Star Wars fan could have made that mistake.
Well, the Star Wars mistake that I made was that's technically a prequel to, no, not technically, it is a prequel, which I usually fucking hate like prequel stories, but this one's really well done because it leads right up to the movie. But that movie Rogue One, I don't know if you remember that one.
I do remember seeing that in theaters.
Yeah, so
was that 2017, 2018?
I don't know, it was a long time ago. So basically, it's
yeah.
one of the characters from that movie is the build up to how he got to that point, essentially.
Now, was Rogue One, was that their first kind of where they started moving to promoting female character leads?
Yeah, so that's the problem.
Starting
here.
the woke stuff,
so,
and they had the black guy in there, the token black guy, but like they're like making him the main character. And
well, see, that's where they messed up, because they should have made him the main character in the movies because he had the most interesting story.
But they had to have a white girl as the main character.
Well, clearly, yeah, they need the girl power. But
but it had to be a white girl.
Yeah, so
who was also sort of bisexual. Like, she didn't hook up with any dudes.
Probably. Well, that was the thing that was supposed to be. It's clear like that should have been the love story. It was with that dude and her, and then he's like the best friend essentially. So, but anyway,
really
like
training the youth.
Yeah. So the thing that like that's part of the problem is that Rogue One movie came out. I went to go see it with no context of what it was going to be about. Like, no, I didn't watch a preview. I just saw, Star Wars Rogue One. That sounds cool.
Okay.
And because of girl power, like the girl kind of looked like the other girl from the other movie. And I don't recall there being like the typical Star Wars like beginning, like the word scrolling. You know how they had dun, 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 and then they give you like the words to read. Like I think the movie just started. Like, and so I didn't have any of the story. Like I didn't know what was going on. And then the girl looked really similar to the other girl, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? And then spoilers, she dies at the end. I'm like, what? She died? I thought she was the star. Wait, there's like supposed to be a trilogy here. I was so fucking confused, man. I was like, what the hell just happened? Like, what did I watch?
Weird.
Yeah, and like, and it wasn't, it wasn't that good. So the guy that wrote the Andor show, he basically was given the Rogue One movie like after it was already kind of like put together, and so he had to like fix it. So that's how he kind of got involved in it in the first place. And so then he got the show, and clearly he was fixing the Rogue One movie and not writing it like entirely, because it's the Andor is like fucking superb, like top tier writing.
Dang, that's high praise,
dude. No, it is. It's really fucking good. Like in acting as well. Like whoever, like, one, that writer, two, the casting director, not for those few particular episodes, because clearly that was a different group of people, but the two main people, whoever the casting director was, and then him, the writer Tony Gilroy, like that needs to be the Star Wars team from now on until they get back on their feet. Like, because they know what they're doing and nobody else does. Like,
wow,
like you,
that different. So
it is so fucking good. Like, and
it's the best show out there right now.
It's the best show on Disney Plus, hands down.
Okay.
Yeah, in particular with anything that Disney has made. Like, if it's like things that Disney bought, so they own because somebody else made it, that might be a different story. But if it's anything that Disney has made since Disney Plus, like it is 100% the best thing they've ever made. And it's even more interesting because the first season is really fucking good, and minus those couple of episodes at the beginning, the second season I think is actually better. And that's usually not what I say about a TV show. It's usually the first season was the best, second season was pretty good, third season was meh, fourth season they got way too many characters. So one, there's not gonna be a season 3 because it's already backed up to the movie, so they've got it finished, so it's complete. So they're not gonna be able to fuck it up as far as like at least in that linear timeline. It's done, right? So the movie's already made, now the show's already made. You can't fuck it up now.
It's going down in history as one of the best.
It will, and it's going to keep getting viewers. The problem is it didn't get enough viewers at the beginning because they burned their viewers, fan base with all the crap they made. So
just skip those episodes, huh?
Yeah, well, there's a handful of things in there that are pretty good, like story writing, but there's just a lot of like that. Basically, anytime it shows Andor in the first couple episodes, that's gonna be a bad scene because Tony Gilroy did not write that scene, and the casting director did not hire the extras for those scenes. Like it's like day and night. Like it is significantly different, like totally different shows from the first couple episodes to the final stuff. Like I was talking about the other night, when that fucking robot just like the robots, there's like 5 of them come out of this room and then go out into the square and just start grabbing civilians, like unarmed civilians, and tossing them 30 feet in the air, breaking their necks on the way down, and they're like dead. Like that's it, they're not getting up, like eyes open and everything.
Nice.
Like the only thing they don't have is there's no blood, and I would argue that it's more shocking and like disturbing than a lot of things that do have blood. Like because you're like, holy shit, like this is actually like
possible.
Yeah, like if a robot actually were going to throw somebody, this is what would happen.
You'd have to make the robot that strong.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's I'm sure there's some physical limitations to how strong you can make a robot, just material wise.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you're going to make everything out of titanium? Probably not. But still, a hydraulic press, like you think about a jack stand. A jack stand for your car, I mean, it weighs like 60 pounds, but it can lift 3 or 4 tons.
Yeah, that's true.
But as a robot, I mean, I guess if you had a robot that weighed 200 pounds.
Yeah, well, also like the
and it had some leverage.
The physics of it, like how does it maneuver? And I think that's why like a lot of the robotics go off of like things that are already in nature, because like we're already kind of built for kinetic energy and all that stuff. Like,
well, nature's already
it's already tested those things.
The survival, has already kind of everything efficient.
But yeah, so I think we'll stop the stream here, and then we'll keep talking on the other end there. And then
all right.
But for now, I think that because we're getting pretty off topic, so I might as well stop it.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna do the outro here. So don't let your meatloaf and scene.
Mailman Podcast coming to you. M-A-L-E-Man coming to you. Talking about Minnesota internet. If you don't like it, you can go to hell. Mailman Podcast coming to you. M-A-L-E-Man coming to you. Ooh.